up on a mountain with a cold wind blow.
Underneath the mistletoe. Everything else.
All right, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me is my British co-host, Simon. And by the way, if you heard the music that you heard coming in, you notice it's different again. So that means we're up on the mountain. We always like to add in a different little intro music when we're up in Callaway doing a show. So Josh Grice gets our gutter studio at my house, and we give Corey Hunley the mountainside intro. So.
Oh, you're laying the gauntlet down on poor Josh again already?
He deserves every single bit of it. Every bit of it. And we'll go into that. He'll be a good topic because he could have been here today, but he decided his children were more important. So the nerve,
the damn nerve,
the nerve of him to want to take his kids over to Roanoke or wherever
especially at Christmas time and all. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Josh,
what was
you
he
owe us
thinking?
a lot. I think he is. I mean, wouldn't it be safe to say that he is indebted to us? We have more people have probably listened to his shitty music on this show coming in and leaving out than have ever come to actually. Well, maybe not come to see him because people like to show up for the beer and the food, but maybe have listened to him in the car or something.
Well, they're not really showing up for the show, are
and
they?
it sucks for the rest of the band because the rest of the band is phenomenally talented.
Did y'all have any words before you fell out? That's the question.
The crazy thing is we're good friends. So, I mean.
I understand.
That's kind of how it is around here. You say terrible things about your friend to their face and you talk good about them behind their back. Where women are the direct opposite usually. They'll be nice to your face and talk.
Oh, you sexist pig.
All right, yeah.
Or truthful guy.
It could be just playing it straight from the heart.
Amos, why are you being so quiet?
I think I know.
Well, we got a great show here today. I don't really know what direction it's going to go in, but we can start off by saying we got Billy Hurt up here and Amos Denton back. You know him from many of our Woodshop Chronicle and Farming episodes. And we're back up here at the cabin in Callaway, home of the 4th of July bash, all this kind of good stuff, home of some of our better shows we've recorded. And
a site of debauchery.
Yeah. Real quick, before we jump into everything, I just want to let people know, go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/getontap. We got a bunch of subscribers up there now. We're getting up there. We appreciate everybody's help. You can go listen to our subscriber show. Like I said, you can give more than 3 if you want to. We appreciate every bit of it, but everything adds up. And we now have our second subscriber-only show that Simon and I did the other night, Amos, and it's worth your $3 a month to listen to that one because the topic was the education system in this country.
Oh, no.
And if we know Simon and his passion for the education system, you know that's going to be a phenomenal show.
Yeah, that got a little bit lively.
Most of the time it does when you start talking about education.
Well, it's just a hot spot, isn't it? I mean, just go listen to the show because, there was some serious ranting.
Yeah, and it's uncut and uncensored. You know, these shows, we kind of try and keep them family friendly as much as possible because a lot of people.
That one wasn't.
Yeah, well, no, because it's subscriber stuff. That's what you get. You get it uncensored, it's uncut and raw. We talk about some of the stuff we, wouldn't normally talk about on this specific show just because it gets really, really contentious. And a lot of times, if we're going to get contentious with stuff, we like to bring somebody that has an opposing views to sit across from us and argue it and debate it and discuss it rather than just try and,
Well, at that point, actually, that kind of works against us because I try and be polite with someone with an opposing opinion because I don't want to be pictured as a bully dropping F-bombs and just being a complete lout.
Exactly. So you got to pick and choose your battles, and I think some of these battles are worth getting passionate for on here. Some of the people have been robbing us blind, and it's good to get passionate at them and get a little up in arms. But
we try not to be gratuitous. That's how we'll try and behave.
But go check it out. It's patreon.com/getontap, just $3 a month. And at the least, you're helping support us, even if you don't listen to anything. But you also get all of our shows early. So, like, we always drop on Tuesday. Today, we're recording on Saturday. I'll go home, edit this, and I'll upload it so anybody on Patreon can get this show pretty much as soon after. Either we get done with the show or I sober up. One of the two. It ends up happening. So, today's a show we've been wanting to do for a long time, and a show that people have been asking us about because Billy here is a local musician that has a lot of notoriety as far as influence in the world of fiddling. And I've had two of in my opinion, two of the best people to do it on this show. Billy knows, I've talked to him about it before. Jim Van Cleve over there at the Appalachian Road Show. He's got a Grammy. And then we have Levi Lowry on here before. Man, he plays a mean war pigs on the fiddle. I mean, he's really, really good. Ask both of them. It's like, we all think about Billy and the best. So that makes me wonder, what in the world are you doing hanging out with a couple of knuckle draggers like yes on your time off?
Well, I think maybe that all knuckle draggers need to hang out together.
I like that.
Well, I mean, really, I'm no different than a plumber. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, I'm just saying, everybody's got a job, and that's just mine.
I couldn't think of a better job myself, being a musician, performing.
I
mean,
well, there are jobs that pay that are better.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. I mean, it just strikes me as that would be just a great passion if I had the talent. But I'm a talentless knuckle dragging fool. So here we go.
And a British knuckle dragging fool.
Indeed I am. And it's still football. And yes, England is playing its old nemesis, enemy of the French, at 2:00 this afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Can't wait for the Frogs to go home with their just crying. I hate the French.
I think that
I thought he was going to say with their lily pads under their arm.
Well, it nearly came out. Thank you, Billy.
I think the Army Navy game is on today too, so I think football might take a back seat.
Hang about. Well, I'm glad you called it football. Actually,
Yeah, well,
quite right.
I should call it soccer because it's America, but for respect for you,
You're too bloody kind.
Amos, are you watching the World Cup today?
The what?
There you go.
Enough said.
I think that covered it rather smartly. It's still football.
It ain't no coffee cup.
Amos seems a little
He's really subdued.
Exactly today. I don't know. I mean, I stayed up there for quite a bit at the wood shop. Appreciate it to my wife, but I didn't get to. I didn't get bent out of shape or anything. We just stayed up there kind of late talking, but I had to drive, 30 minutes back to the house almost, and all he had to do was just roll down the hill, and he was home. And I don't understand.
But it still took me 30 minutes.
How he's so disheveled.
Yeah, it still took
Very
him 30
disheveled.
minutes.
Typically, he's in here wanting to jump right into it.
I believe he's got a little bit of that Santa Ana's revenge going on this morning.
Oh no,
Man, that 1800 coconut will get you.
Yeah, that's what it was.
savages!
I just stick straight to beer because if I'd have started drinking that liquor, because I went and had about 2 or 3 at the Living Proof last night before, so I got home from work and a couple of our buddies that we know from around here and the Naffs and. Josh Grice was up there. He sent a message, said, come on up here, and have a beer. So I went up there and drank 2 or 3 before going up there. There's no way I was going to mix in that tequila. But he does it like a champ.
He's a professional. Now, tell me, are we doing? What are we going to be doing at that brewery, Living Proof?
Yeah. So on, I guess April 5th, we're scheduled to go up there and
In April.
yes. Do trivia night. We ask the questions. So
dear.
me and you can sit up there and drink free beer all night long and go back and forth over the questions, maybe.
Maybe lots of slurring.
Exactly. So we might need a translator up there for us. Actually 2 translators. What the hell's this British guy saying? What the hell's this guy from Alabama saying? Because I don't sound like I'm from around here.
Well,
Franklin County people don't sound like they're from Virginia. I think it's a Franklin County thing.
Well, with Amos being up here for the best part of 10 months, we were going back and forth on the build site, and he's coming up with some. I mean, it's just absolute Franklin County isms. He turns to me and he hollers, "Go get me that wheelbar." And I looked at him. I said, "Sorry, fetch me the wheelbar." I said, "What?" Say that one more time. What the hell's a wheelbar?
I mean, I know what you're saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
He said, I don't think I have one of them. And I was like, yeah, you do up in the barn. He goes,
It's over next to the PhD.
like a digging bar? I was like, no, a wheelbarrow. He was like, what are you wanting to do with it? I was like, I'm wanting to put gravel in it. He's like, it's a wheelbarrow, you damn hick.
It's like a spring tooth hair, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
and
not a
there's
harrow,
been
it's a hair.
there's been countless examples of this going back and forth. I'm like, and I need a translator? Are you shitting me?
He sent his wife to town. He asked me what I use for weed killer.
Oh, this is a good one.
I said 2,4-D. And so he sends Heather to town. She's going all over town asking for 240 spray.
As in 240, 240, not 24D. I mean, good Lord. I mean,
that's kind of an honest mistake.
It was in the enunciation. I
Right.
agree.
The enunciation could be messed up. Anybody could mess that up. I can see that.
Yeah, but who don't know what a wheelbarrow is?
There's one guy in this room didn't.
I like how he corrected you and said this is how it's pronounced. That's why Simon assimilated very quickly, because most people would come here and be like, "Oh, that's how you say it." No, he tells everybody else here, "No, this is how you say it." You know what I mean? Like our dialect around here.
We have things that we say around here that we all take for granted, like that. Like Jeff Foxworthy has all this stuff that he says, but he ain't never said over one time that I ever heard. Over and up there.
He ain't never talked to Wilson Kinsey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wilson.
he needs subtitles. That's for you, Wilson.
My brother was down here from Wisconsin, brought one of his buddies with him. We was up here at the brewery.
He's the Boomhauer of Franklin County.
We're up at the brewery, and Wilson came up to me, had a conversation, left, and my brother looked at me and said, "What? Do you understand what he just said?" I was like, "Yeah, I got every other word. I filled in the blanks." He's like, "Man, I ain't got a clue what that man just said during the whole time he talked to you."
That's how he is. He'll come up and his intro line is pretty good. Oh, it's good to see you. And then it just falls off the planet. And it's like he's got a mouthful of marbles. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you like you say, you pick up 50%. What about people that pick up 25% and less?
You?
I mean, yeah, me.
It's a good thing Wilson didn't say anything about a wheelbarrow.
Oh, that would. I'm over the edge already. I mean, I had arguments with my girls. And I'll say, "Well, it's a tomato." I said, "No, it's a tomato." "No, Daddy, it's a tomato." No, it's a tomato.
It's a mater.
There's a song in this.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there is. I said, "Listen, this is English." "Well, we're speaking English." I said, "No, it's my language." Now they understand.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So then they were coming out with other stuff as well. Vitamins.
Vitamins.
Yeah, there you go.
We say vitamins.
Well, I say vitamins.
Oh,
I
my
mean,
God.
it's an either, neither, not.
How do you say
either,
Nissan?
Right? Nissan. There's another car, mate, that has. What's the
Where do you park the cars?
the oh, hang on, it's the Celica.
The what? Can you spell that?
Celica, not the Celica. The
Oh,
Celica.
Man, that I would have never caught that for some reason.
Yeah, got you.
How do you pronounce Appalachia?
Appalachia.
Okay, because
There's no other way.
There is no
plenty
other
of
way.
people that are not from around here, for some reason, say Appalachian. It drives my ears crazy.
But
I'm like,
I don't know where they came up with this. This is a pet peeve of mine.
oh, mine too. Believe you me.
I do not. That is something that somebody made up to disrespect the way that everybody around here says it, that lives in the Appalachian region. In my opinion, that's what it is.
I agree 100%.
And nobody really.
Well,
says
there's an element of malice there.
Well, I don't like that. It's like you're taking what little we got away from us by changing the way. It's like pronouncing a person's name different than they pronounce it. That's exactly what it's like. And
Or like Simon coming up here and telling him it's a wheelbarrow, not a wheelbarrow.
Well, I mean, that was just correct.
That's in spelling. Hey, we pronounce it a different way, but it's spelled the same way no matter how you pronounce it. Just like Appalachian.
Yeah.
I know that does hit a raw nerve with so many people, but there's some pronunciations around here that I keep stumbling over as well. Buchanan, for example.
Well, it's Buchanan here because that's what everybody that lives there calls it.
Exactly. and that's one of the ones I fall over. And it was just, we're going through Buchanan.
Or
it's Buchanan.
Buena Vista instead of Buena Vista.
Yeah. There's all sorts of anomalies out there, and it's rather amusing. I mean, I love it.
Well, because most of the time people that move in from away from here and think they know better than us, and then,
Oh, that's always the mistake they make, but they'll only make that
Not
once.
everybody, but, certain ones that, dwell in more urban areas or whatever. And
well, you also have people that want to embrace the
tons.
culture. And that,
yeah.
But some people just like to oppose everybody else for no other reason than to separate themselves from other people or whatever.
That's called being very contrary.
That's
and
right.
contrary people just need a good kick in the throat.
Well,
that may be just a shade harsh.
It's a little bit, yeah. I've got no time for contrary people just because it's bloody minded. I'm just no. You don't even believe what's coming out of your pie hole, so you're just doing it to piss me off.
Well, they just want attention. They want people to look at them and recognize whatever victim mentality status they've got going on, whatever happened to them at one time. So everybody should feel sorry for them and placate to them and stuff. That's just, and we've talked about this many times on this show. And it's just, people just are so, like you said, contrarian for the sake of doing it.
well, so are we.
No doubt.
Yes. To a degree, but we're always respectful about it to the most point. We're usually challenging ideas to see how much you really believe in those ideas. A lot of these people just do it. It's like we said, there's dopamine rushes these people get from social media. Like, they don't really got much going on for them. They don't got but
It's all right. I just saw something on top of the little desk here that I'd taken notes on. And it just reminded me, it's all right. It's an AEP thing. I'll come back to it. You carry on with what you're talking about. I've got an AEP thing that's just got me hotter than a snake's ass in a wagon rut.
is that what we talked about on the subscriber show last week? That, or is this
well,
a different event?
now I've got details, and it's even worse than you think it is.
Oh, wow.
But you carry on with your thing right now. I just want to read this quickly.
No, go ahead and do it because I don't forgot where I was going. I'm so excited about this.
Oh, right. Okay. So, and we talked about this on the subscriber show, correct? And it was about AEP wanting to install all these lovely new high-tech meters that they can view from the Roanoke office. They haven't got to come to the site. They haven't got to drive up the closest road for them to use But anyway, so it's giving them control of monitoring and also the ability to turn power off individually, not through a substation. So I thought that got me thinking, and being the conspiracy theorist. Hang about, they're not conspiracy theories anymore, are they? They're spoiler alerts.
That's what Amos called me last night at the wood shop. He said, "Billy, just a damn." I said, 5 years ago I was. Now I'm a truther.
Well, that's it. We deliver spoiler alerts.
We're batting about 800.
So this is a spoiler alert for the AEP community. So I have what is currently called an AMR meter, and it's a short-range radio frequency. So the vehicle doesn't have to come up my driveway to physically read the meter. He can drive up the closest road within 2 kilometers. So that to me is,
Can you put that into miles for us?
Under a mile.
2 kilometers, probably 1.2 miles, maybe.
No, it's under. I think 2.4 kilometers to the mile.
Okay.
Anyway, under a mile, let's call it. Oops, I slipped there, didn't I, rather?
Yeah, we're not on the metrics here unless you're talking about ammo and weighing out drugs. I guess that's about the only things in this country they use the metric system for.
So anyway, Billy, thank you very much for that. So there's now that's a fairly high-tech meter, in my opinion. So anyway, they say, we want to come out and change your meter. I said, I know you want to change it so that you can turn power off because, your shareholders receive the profits. You don't reinvest in the infrastructure that's basically falling apart. Yeah, that was a short way of putting it. So the chap sort of, had a bit of a smile, and he called me back this week, and I said, look, can you give me the breakdown of all the options that are available to me? Because you're telling me that my fairly high tech short-range radio frequency meter is below par, is obsolete. So we go, okay, yeah, we can. Well, we've got our new AMI meter. This is installed at no charge. And it gives them the ability to turn the power off at that meter. I said, oh, that's no charge. Oh, great. I said, so option 2 was this non-communicating meter. Now, this doesn't use phone or internet. They'll charge you $47 to install the meter, so it's no longer free, and they'll charge you $31 a month to read it, because they physically have to come up and read it. So that's the real low-tech option. Then there was an option 3, and this is a two-way, it's like a cell phone meter. They said it would cost you $263 to change it, and then we would only charge you $7.18 a month to have that facility. So I said, well, my current meter is way above some of the technology that you're offering as options at an extreme cost. And he said, well, where are you going with this? I said, well, you're boxing me in a corner by saying that my current meter, which is technologically superior to your lowest option, is now obsolete. And then you're offering me a substandard option that's going to cost me more. So you're really not giving me an option as to having this meter that gives them the ability to turn power off individually, not just from a substation. And they can do that remotely, because the infrastructure here is dreadful. You know, it's at maximum, I think, output. So we've got some infrastructure issues that are fairly significant. And then they're going to play this game. And you can see where it's going. You know, they're going to say, well, these dumb hicks out in the country, we'll turn them off because we need to supply the city. And that's exactly
those electric cars.
And well, and charge all those electric cars, yeah. So you know that at the end of the day, being, you know, a spoiler alert, I don't view these meters as a very good thing for us in rural communities. I really don't. It gives way too much power to a private company that is completely devoted to lining and filling the pockets of its shareholders.
Yeah, I believe that company's probably not too private.
I didn't even know they were changing me. I mean, I didn't even know that was.
No, because they're just rocking up and changing them. If you're on the list and you weren't there, I bet you got a new meter. Oh yeah, think about that. There's a truth bomb. Oh, spoiler alert. My God.
Does anybody know? This is kind of something I was kind of interested in. Is these solar farms they're building? Does AEP have control of that power, or what? Does anybody know much about that?
I don't know enough about it. I've put enough solar farms up off the North Sea and.
What the hell is the North Sea? Is that like Lake Michigan?
Oh no, it's over.
That sea up there next to Michigan.
Yeah,
it's between Europe and the UK. It's it's the second most violent sea compared to the Bering Straits. I mean, it can be absolutely miserable in the winter. But back to wind farms,
solar farms.
Solar farms.
We can do wind too.
Yeah, I mean they're all in that sort of direction. But you're looking really at the battery technology cannot support the demand. So you know, I don't think we're in a very good position to, and all the solar farms that have, you know, been attempted thus far have always come down crashing in flames. So, but is it? Then you go back to, is it on private land? And if someone's prepared to give up private land, I mean, who are we to deny it? I mean, it's a private venture. Is it for? If it was on public land, I'm sure I'd have something to say about it. But if it's on private land, that goes against some of my principles. If you own it, you can stay the hell out of my damn business.
Yeah.
So,
agree
you know,
100%.
I'm a bit conflicted with it, but it is what it is.
But I should, you know, I want people that have any kind of ideas about potentially selling off their land to put these farms on it, just to know, you know, what the consequences may or may not be. But, you know,
how much AEP is going to benefit from it?
Well, see, I've heard.
Well, you're feeding back into that system, which is the only way that can work.
Right.
I've delivered to enough of those places and asked the guys, and they're like, "Man, this isn't like, I don't understand why they're doing this." Because it takes about 20 years for them to get an investment on their return here, and by then you're already starting to have to replace everything, and it doesn't really make any sense economically, and it doesn't make enough sense to do all this stuff for the little bit of power that it's actually going to generate and get. And you get a tornado comes through or a hailstorm or something. I mean, granted, things like that will destroy power lines as well, but a tornado coming through is only going to destroy at the most a handful of power lines before it dies away. But going through an entire field of solar panels, you're talking about maybe 40 or 50%.
We've seen how well wind farms work in Texas when it all froze up.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well for them because they didn't service their diesel generator plants or coal-fed plants. I think they were all diesel generator plants.
Well, they also didn't take care of their windmills either.
Right. So, the maintenance there on both sides of that fence was only going to lead to one thing. Again, this is power companies feeding their shareholders over reinvesting in infrastructure and maybe some research and development, R&D. They're just not doing it. They'll let it get down to the lowest possible point and closest point of failure, and then they'll Band-Aid it. Because they're paying their shareholders. They've got to keep that shareholder price up. That dividend's got to be kept up. Yeah, it's the same old game. It's greed wins.
Hey, when you live the simple life, though, it really don't matter that much.
This is true.
Billy will be all right no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee.
Oh, yeah. I think most of us around this table will do just fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We, I'm not too awfully particularly concerned, but, when it comes to solar farms too, I just think, at some point in time, step back and just think about, kind of what you're doing, to your environment, to the area you're going to be living in. What's that going to do to the neighborhood? What's it going to do to the neighbors, the bird population? Plus when it's dead and gone, do you really think they're going to come in here and clean that stuff out of here? No, it's just going to be rubble, just like going up through coal country and stuff, just rubble, run down houses that have been abandoned. Same thing right there. Now, you're taking away from the land, and the land here, especially somewhere here, gives us everything. When civilization collapses or before civilization was built, you get everything from the land. Your food, your food eats food on the land. You grow your food, and if you're destroying it for, a little bit of money, for all that it's unnecessary, when you could take one big plot, one decent chunk of land where you don't have to put up 50 of them around the county. You build yourself a little nuclear power plant in each town, and boom, you're done. It's clean, it's cheap.
Yep.
And, you got one area that's going to be the eyesore instead of these things looking like you fly overhead Pennsylvania County right now. I bet it looks like a teenager's face with a bunch of pimples on it, being those solar. They are everywhere down there.
But, I think that if an individual uses solar power, I don't have a problem with that. But like what you're talking about, it ends up being an eyesore and probably isn't really doing any good for anybody.
No.
It's in other words, it's just like you were talking about greed. It's somebody thinking that they're going to make some money for nothing later on down the line.
And they sacrifice us in the meantime.
Well, I think if we're going to be doing any of this, we're caught with this new Green Deal crap, and they're ramming the environment down our throats without really. There's some very contestable scientific contradictory papers against climate change, and whether you side with that or not is irrelevant. But I think if you're looking at solar panels, wind, turbines, whatever it may be, if we can get away from fossil fuels, I think that's a good thing. But it's how you do that. And we're just doing it wrong.
And it has to be efficient.
Exactly. It's got to be efficient. It's got to be sustainable. But a lot of these companies don't want individuals being self-sustaining because, again, they lose that element of control and monthly billing on a watt of power, and they control that whole pricing scale.
Well, yeah, they can't make money on that.
So they don't want people to be self-sustaining, so they'll never make household projects the priority for whatever the new Green Deal is. They want to crush the whole oil and gas industry, the coal they've killed in West Virginia, anything that's fossil fuel related, they're looking to completely destroy, and no more drilling leases, all that good stuff. So
it probably stands to reason that big coal industry does not want nuclear plants, and I'm with you on the nuclear situation. And when I was a kid, everybody was scared to death of this. But I mean, the technology is getting a lot better. I mean, with all that, it's just safest and cleanest thing they've got.
Yeah. And
steam power.
the fact that the new Green Deal isn't talking about that says that there's an agenda, because nuclear power is without question. And now they're coming up with, where is it? Is it in Switzerland? They were coming up with the fusion, which is really free energy. But I think there was quite a step and leap forward in that technology of fusion. So, there's going to be those things coming on the horizon, but I don't know why they're looking to violently crush the position that we're in right now, which is going to cause so much pain, as it already is when you look at fuel costs this winter.
A lot of these people don't quite understand. It's like that little, whatever the hell her name is, Greta Thunberg or whatever. She's like, if she had it her way, well, end all fossil fuels tomorrow. Well, if that happened, you'd probably have 10 million people die in the first day or so. A lot of people that need their medication refrigerated, things like that, power goes off the grid. You're talking, plastics and things you use on a daily basis.
Well, it's that ideological thing again, and we all know it's you can't work with that.
Yeah, I'm all about getting rid of this stuff and finding better ways, but
it's not going to happen overnight. Anyway.
Exactly.
No way.
That's the point. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to find better ways, but at the same time, you can't suppress the good stuff that comes along just because it's not going to make you money. And I think that's why a lot of the reason that, instead of doing nuclear, which is clean, cheap, well, then all them guys up there, they can't make money off of us. And then all their buddies start getting worried because now if you ain't got $300 a month in a electric bill, we can start spending that money and focusing it elsewhere into other ways to better ourselves. And the more better we make ourselves, less control they have, the less power and money they have, the less influence. And well, for whatever reason, they just can't have that, which I don't understand. But
I think it kind of all boils down to when I pulled up this morning and walked up on the porch, the first thing I heard was, if you're going to pray, let's pray for higher IQs. That was the first comments I heard. And I think that's where this all goes back to.
Yeah, the gene pool is definitely, it's got some disturbing statistics going on there right now.
Well, I mean, like I was told Billy there a while ago, I mean, so many people are willing to follow people that there's no proof that they're brilliant at all, and they're just willing to follow it
blindly.
And this could go on either end of the political scale. I mean, people will blindly follow. You can't do that. You got to use your own mind to figure out where you are and in the scheme of things, and where your interests lie as far as your communities or whatever. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, I follow this guy right here because he cussed somebody out one time 5 years ago."
Well, this is where I think and the schools they definitely shoulder some of the blame here. Is that we're not being taught, our kids aren't being taught critical thinking. And you need critical thinkers. I don't give a toss about this critical race theory nonsense. We know it's garbage. This gender identity garbage. So yeah, I mean, thankfully Governor Northam came in and he's slowly redressing the balance. Yonkin.
Yeah.
What did I just say?
Northam.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking bad
Ralphie
thoughts
on your
there.
mind?
I got Ralphie on my mind.
Blackface.
Hey, we
Yeah.
found out the other night, if you listen to our subscriber show, we verified which one he is in that photo.
It's confirmed. He was blackface.
Oh, well, he knew it. He admitted to it.
It's
He
irrefutable.
admitted to being one of them. He said he couldn't remember which one he was.
Yeah.
Like-
He got ID'd by
Well,
somebody who was there.
you said, people just follow people to follow people for no reason other than just to have somebody to follow.
They need a team to root for.
But, I meet somebody, when I first met Billy Hurt, we didn't know each other, but I hear him talk about fixing a wagon wheel, working with horses, farming with horses. He obviously he knows stuff. Well, then it turns out he's a badass fiddle player too. So, and I love the fiddle.
There we go.
And my little girl dies for it.
Every band should have a fiddle in it.
Yeah,
I agree
everyone.
100%.
So feel like Billy's a good friend, And I feel like anytime I talk to Billy, I can glean something from him.
There you go. That's knowledge and depth and wisdom.
What we say last night on the other show, if you the smartest one in the room and daggone, you probably wasting your time. It's always good to surround yourself with people to thinking.
Yeah, somebody to challenge
level. You. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Thad Montgomery, good Lord. I mean, there's an encyclopedia of knowledge there. Phenomenal.
I think Amos is an encyclopedia knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. All the local stuff.
You know, I think you're pretty much an encyclopedia. There's a handful of people out there, and that's one of the reasons I think this show is just so easy. Like, I don't have to write out a script or anything. Like, I've never come to Simon and say
no talking points.
We never have like a drawing board of how the show's going. You just sit down and you just start talking. Wherever it goes, it goes. But you can do that with people like y'all because you have so many. I mean, Amos talked about this ad nauseum last night. You know, you got certain people, and if you keep surrounding yourself with those certain people, you're going to constantly find yourself getting more and more successful because a rising tide raises all ships.
And that's a classic line. I mean, and I use the analogy in rugby. We used to play, you know, pretty much the same teams every year until we, you know, went up a league or we went into a new division or whatever. So, and you got used to playing these teams and you knew what you were up against. But then you started, you know, playing in some cup finals or going through some of these tournaments, and you would play teams way better than you. And you know you were out of your league, but you raised your game and often could beat them, which is statistically against the odds of you doing. But there it is, a rising tide. You know, I mean, it's those are, you've got to raise your game and you've got to put yourself around, I think, people that can challenge you, you know, mentally.
And I think that's why people like everybody sitting in this room right here all have some type of an obligation. I mean, and that's not, now, granted, I'm all about individualism. So you choose, you know, how you live your life and what you want to do and what you want to do with your knowledge. But if you're somebody that wants to see the betterment of a community or a betterment of a society, then I think we're all obligated to get out there and let people know there's better ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to become a slave to materialism and materialistic things. You don't have to make your entire life about watching a reality TV show that you could just go outside and enjoy reality yourself. Like, why watch other people's faked drama on TV when you got enough drama down the street? You know what I mean? Like, get outside and meet and speak with people and figure out that there's a lot of beauty in this world, and there's a lot of beauty and a lot of satisfaction that can be found from building something, whether it be relationships, whether that be something at your house, you know, whether that be a park in your community, just anything you can do to reach out. And I don't know, I just think we're so disconnected anymore.
But, you know, that what you just said, that, I mean, I've seen this. I see it in a friend of mine all the time. They're totally into believing all this bad crap about everything, and they never go out and live. And you know, you can't be that way. You've got to experience life. You can't, if you quit experiencing life, you might as well just go into the prison and get locked up, because there's no difference.
No.
I mean, when you believe that everything, I don't like to believe that everything is bad. I mean, some people just perpetually want to believe that everything is horrible now. Everything's horrible. I don't believe that. I mean, you know, I like to see the good. I like to look for the good in things. And if you look at a picture from 1930, you see a bunch of people that weigh like 120 pounds. They weren't doing as good as we are now. We're all a bunch of fat asses, so we could last a couple months without no food if we had to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could.
I'm saying that's a good thing. That's not something to complain about, is what I'm saying. But people should get out and experience life. That's a very important thing.
I'll be the first one, and I'm very proud to admit this. I have never seen an episode of whatever the Kardashian show is.
I haven't either.
And, you know, there's.
Well, how would you?
Yeah, well, why would you?
God.
And that's the other thing as well. These bloody phones. You know, it is the Matrix sucks you in, and you know it's happening. And That's a worrying
Well,
thing.
the phones aren't a bad thing. If you look at it into like a realistic perspective, the problem is the phones are ideological. Realistically, you have more power of information in your hands than Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. You're talking about the
Well, you got all their stuff in your hand.
Everything, everybody's. Like, you have so much, and 90% of the population spend most of their time scrolling through there and watching cat videos and fights. They have access to all this. Like, I'm on my phone a lot, but I'm going through there. I'm not watching dumb shit. Most of the time, I am sitting there and I'm reading, I'm researching. I'm like, hey, I got a library at my hands right here. Let's see what's going on. Let's see how I can find ways to better myself. But, like you said, people they plug themselves into the matrix, and I think that's what a lot of reason you got problems in these cities is these people, they're lying to themselves. They're lying to themselves when they think, oh man, here I am in New York City and I've got all these restaurants right down the road, and I can be at all these places and all these museums and all these music venues, and it's so lovely, but you have no connection with nature whatsoever. And you vote against us and hate us because deep down, we're the happiest people in the world. We don't need, we've got a nice house. If everything went sour and me and my family had to move into this cabin right here, we would make it work, and I would still be happy. My wife might not be, but me, I would be like, you know what? I got a roof over my head.
Yep.
I said I got my family
Tell
here
it all,
with
bro.
me, but these people they live in buildings with 10,000 other people. They don't see grass, they don't see animals, they don't see nature, they don't see the stars.
They sure do know an awful lot about it, though, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They know enough to tell us what's wrong with us. But like I said, deep down, misery loves company. These people are jealous of us. So the only way they have learned to deal with that is to make it seem like there's something wrong with us.
I'm gonna tell you,
we don't live in the cities. Why wouldn't we want that?
Yeah, and the people that live in the city and think they are and think they're happy, they ain't never been to the local brewery while Billy was playing and watched the little girls up there dancing. I mean, in front, just local people absolutely having a wonderful time.
Yep.
The 4th of July party when they were playing, Billy played up here. Tell me you can have that kind of fun in the middle of the city. I don't think so.
No.
We just did last weekend.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, my band played in Chicago last weekend,
Oh, right on.
and it was awesome. We played at
I think I've seen a couple videos of that.
we played in the American Legion in Evanston. I played there with the Carl Shiflett and Big Country Show before, and we played there with my band, 5 Mile Mountain Road, last weekend in Chicago. And don't let anybody tell you Chicago's an awful place. I mean, I'm sure it's got awful places in it, but it was a great time, and we had a lot of people having a good time. We got
Brennan,
the
whole band together.
The whole band was there. It was
That's Franklin County being placed in the middle of Chicago. Wow, that's a story in itself. I love it.
well, I mean, we play in places like that throughout the country and other countries as well. But I mean, I think hypocrisy is rampant, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that they're preaching about something that they don't observe themselves as near as much as they think they do.
Oh, yeah, ain't that the fact? I mean, but you do something that I'm very envious of, because music is that universal language,
Absolutely.
and it's a great gift.
Well,
it really is.
When we play music around these parts, and in a lot of states in the South, a lot of people you'd be surprised, like Josh's band. They're going to be more popular around here probably than our band, because we play a specific type of music that's definitely not popular. I mean, most of the music we play would have been popular closer to 100 years ago than it would be now. But when we go out in other places and play music, people don't get to see it.
Exactly.
And it's exciting for them to see somebody playing what we do. We're basically reenactors, is all we are. A lot of the music nerds or whatever. We play music from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, and even some stuff from the 1800s, basically.
If y'all are reenactors, who are you reenacting with that fiddle? Because I don't know too many people that you're reenacting. You seem to be the one to burn it down.
Well, I've got a lot of influences.
And you played fiddle your whole life from young up.
I was 8 when I first started, 7 or 8 when I first started playing. And I don't feel that I'm a good teacher on the fiddle because I basically learned how to play the fiddle the way a kid learns how to talk. I never sit down and practice in my life. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not recommending for nobody else to do what I did. I'm just saying that's what I did. My daddy would say, "Get on the stage and play," and that's what you had to do. You never heard the song. You're up there. You got to do something. Shit or get off the pot or whatever you want to call it.
That's exactly.
You say you're not a good teacher, but I can't tell you how many people I've seen over at your place that was clearly being a pupil, a student.
Well, when I learned to play the guitar, and I don't consider myself a very good guitar player, but I learned to play the guitar. My brother left his guitar at my mom and dad's house when I was a kid at Christmas time, and I would go through they used to have these little song books. There was like a yellow one, a blue one, a green one, and a red one, and they just had basic like bluegrass and folk songs in them, and I would take a song that I knew how it went, and I would learn the chords. So I could learn how to change chords by singing that song, and I taught myself how to play the guitar that
just
way.
From hearing.
Well, I knew that it would be a song I was familiar with that I heard other people do, so I knew how it went. So I knew when to change the chord, and all this. But like with a fiddle, I never did that. I just got on the stage and started playing. I took 13 lessons, 13 violin lessons from Johnny Haskins, who was a great fiddle player in Roanoke.
And you was still a kid at that point?
I was 8. And
did your dad play the fiddle? Did he play music?
No, he just raised hell. Daddy would get you in front of everybody and tell you how much better you were last week than you are this week, and think that was teaching you something.
Have you noticed do you think that the music, have you noticed in recent years the popularity even around here of your reenactment, as you said, is more popular than it was 5-10 years ago?
I don't know. It's
like I'm saying with younger people.
Oh, I think that. Right, I'm very lucky right now. When I was growing up, and the guys that I learned to play music from were all old. My dad would be 92 if he was alive, and I was hanging out with guys that were 20 years older than my dad when I was a kid. In other words, older people, 70s and 80s, and the music that I love was played by those guys. When all of the people my age were coming up, they wanted to play with Doyle Lawson and all the bands at the time that were the modern bluegrass bands. I never cared nothing about it. I'm not discriminating or knocking it in any way. I just like the older music. And well,
that's what you were brought up with.
Well, I just love it. I mean, it's not even that. It's just it speaks to me. And I was playing with Jim Eanes when I was 13 years old, and Jim Eanes he recorded country music in the 50s, and he never had the popularity that some others had. But I mean, he recorded, with Chet Atkins and guys like this, the A-Team guys for Decca and stuff. I mean, it's not like he was a bum by any chance. He was one of my heroes.
Well,
I felt very, very great. I felt it was a great feeling in my soul to get to play with Jim Eanes, and these other guys were wanting to play with popular, cool bands, and I just didn't care about it.
Well, the old mountain tune music like you play. I think it's either something that speaks. Like Callie. I mean, my little girl. She's from day one.
Yeah, she's been all over it.
That's what she's
got it.
And
well, what I was going to say, I lost. Well, I didn't lose track. I didn't come back to the station there. So I was around all these older guys, I never had anybody my age that could play the stuff I liked.
There's Billy's beer.
And I stopped.
The first one.
I almost stopped playing. And in 2009, this guy that I know, he's a great musician, Jeremy Stevens from down in Danville. They got a band called High Fidelity. He and Robert Montgomery, who's a friend of mine that I play music with, he plays with David Davis and the Warrior River Boys from Alabama. They came to Galax, and the first day that we played together, I think we played for 16 hours.
Wow.
When we played it 14 hours the next day, I think, solid. And these guys knew how to play what I loved playing. And since that year, 2009, I also got a job with David Parmley at Continental Divide at that time. And a great musician, great friend of mine. And it just made me start wanting to play again. And then now, 2022, going on 23, I got this whole group of guys that I play music with that are all young and they're below mid-20s, except for a couple of them, that know all this music if I would have had these guys back when I was 32 years old, it ain't no telling, where we could have went with it. But they have a great interest, and there's a great interest in his music in 20-something-year-olds right now.
I've noticed
the ones that don't watch Kardashians.
I've noticed that that style of music seems like there's a lot more younger people listening to it.
Well, we play multiple styles we have a lot of ragtime music. Trevor is working on this classic banjo stuff from like turn of the last century.
Real music.
Well, yeah, it's
not computer generated.
You have there's this element in bluegrass fans that think that bluegrass is old music, but jazz is way older than bluegrass.
Oh yes,
and they'll talk about if you play jazz, they're like, that's that old jazz. It ain't good old music like bluegrass. Well, bluegrass is way newer. I mean, bluegrass is.
I don't really think you can separate the two.
A lot of bluegrass influence come from jazz music too, didn't it?
Everybody in the first generation of bluegrass, Bill Monroe, Stanley Brothers, all those guys like that were the first round. They had to listen to jazz, and they had to listen to old time music, and they listened to popular dance music, which would have been swing. I mean, Earl Scruggs recorded big band songs on the banjo in the 50s. I mean,
and they basically blended that for their own style of music.
I mean, it's a lot more elements than some people. Some people think that everybody was sitting in a cabin on the hill, with a wood cook stove, and that ain't the way. A lot of these guys, what was on the radio was not. It was either the Grand Ole Opry or something like that, or the popular music of the day. So that they definitely had the influence of the popular music. Even Charlie Poole, who recorded in the 20s, recorded tunes that were popular music. He recorded, like Tin Pan Alley songs and all. People want to dismiss all that and act like that it never happened for some reason. They don't understand that there's a great melting pot of things in the music world. I mean, even in 60s music, like popular music in the 60s, they were going back and recording songs from the 20s, and I'm just finding out some of these songs right now every once in a while that pops up. That's an old song, and I didn't even, never even knew it. So,
I mean, I love music. Absolutely love music. Tone deaf. Couldn't carry a tune in a bucket if you put a lid on it.
Well, just think of the money you saved.
He spent it somewhere else. I guarantee you.
But my little one loves music, and so it's great. Billy gave me Callie was young, and she just right off the rip, early on, 2-3 years old, took up liking that style of music. So I was like, Billy, give me a CD. Or I bought a couple CDs from him every day.
I know. I've been in the truck. Can you put the old CD on?
Yeah,
the old one, old stuff.
Yeah, I want.
Don't want this new
Billy
rubbish.
Hurt. I want 5 Mile Mountain Road. And so one morning she's wanting, Daddy, put my bluegrass on. So I just stuck another CD I had in there. It was bluegrass. It started playing. She looked at me. She said,
That ain't it.
"That ain't my bluegrass, Daddy. Put my bluegrass on."
What did you put the Hartwell Grace Band in there or something?
If that,
Bill,
yeah.
I'm not feeding into that, Billy.
Come on now. Come on now.
He only lives just down the road. I mean, you're almost waving a red rag at a bull, right?
Oh, I know. But
And 5 Mile Mountain Road,
but he's in Roanoke right
we're
now.
almost on 5 Mile Mountain Road, sitting here.
Yeah,
Callie's favorite song.
Amazing.
But you talk about all the influences. We've talked about that with Josh on the show before. Is all the different influences these guys had, and
It's amazing how varied it is.
yeah, like people don't get it. People really don't understand. Like there's so much more to it, like you said, than people just.
Well, just take us back a few years when Sterling had the Callaway Brewery in the workshop just below us here. You know, they had some of the musicians that would rock up there and just jam it out. Just phenomenal stuff.
You know what? That's actually a good point right there. That's another reason to subscribe to our Patreon page, because I want to take this podcast to a level where we can get enough
That's why I
FU
mentioned it
money
the first time.
to pay Sterling
Probably,
to come
yeah.
back down here and open up that brewery.
Oh, yeah, he needs to.
Enough FU money to make that I mean, and no disrespect to any of the rest of the breweries we got around here, but that place was I bet there ain't another brewery on the planet that ever existed.
That Blackwater Porter.
Dude, that was the best beer on earth.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
I mean, we talked about with Brian down at the Burger Company. He used to have the old restaurant there. He was like, it boggled my mind because we were kind of talking about Sterling. He said it boggled my mind. Like, as quick as his stuff would get in there, it'd be sold out in the kegs.
Sterling made a pumpkin beer, and I would never drink anything else if I could get it. It was the best stuff in the world. I mean, it was absolutely delicious. I mean, it was, and a pumpkin beer shouldn't even be any good. But his was actually absolutely great.
I remember making a statement down there. I realised his beer was sublime. And I'm a beer drinking professional, being
I met both of y'all down
a rugby player. Exactly. And I went down there one evening with a hammer, a nail, and my pewter tankard. And there it hung until that place closed down, which is a bloody shame because I wish it was still there and I wish I could keep refilling it because it was great.
There's no doubt. Everything everybody's saying about that is absolutely true. It was a great experience, and it was like being at home for me.
Yep.
Because we had parties down there for 20 years prior to that, and
Well, it gave me
Lord of the times we had down in that garage.
Oh, my word.
It gave me such street credibility as well because I'd be offshore. I mean, I spent 50% of my life on the ocean, so I'd go offshore and be telling these stories, and it's just like, man, you've got a brewery at the end of your driveway.
In a garage.
I mean, it doesn't get
With
any
some
better
of the best
than
beer
that.
ever.
Yeah,
With dairy equipment he purchased, like old
Dairy, yeah.
yeah, it was
milk
all
tanks.
dairy,
Yeah, all
dairy,
milk tanks.
dairy.
I don't think I probably didn't spend but about 7 cents down there because I couldn't. Sterling would give me beer we'd go down there and play a little music sometimes, and Sterling would always, I was like, nah, man, I got to give you some money for this.
And, I fought to give him money because I wanted to see it succeed.
Me too.
Oh yeah,
It still can again.
It was a devastating
Hey, the
day.
recipes still exist, man.
Somebody told me,
he's got
I think
it.
Sterling's going to close the brewery down. First thing I did is I called Sterling right up. No, don't tell me it ain't. Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, we were crying. And at the last party down there, with the closure, I was offshore and missed it. It broke my heart. Heather was sending me pictures. I was somewhere stupid off India
Should
or
have got a
West
helicopter or
Africa.
something to fly you to an
Oh
airport.
dear. Oh, it was a bloody shame.
But
I missed the closing
because
party.
you want to talk about a solid picture of what the best part about life is, about what the best part of this part of the country is, about what this community is all about. You
That
go up
was
to
it.
Callaway Brewing Company, and you got a guy up there that, as a mad scientist, just lives up here in the mountains, can create anything. Like, if he wanted to, he can probably go down to Mexico right now and work for the cartels and make millions off of his. Because he could build an ultimate drug if he wanted to. Like, he is that kind of a smart of a person, and to be able to, like you said, and I know Chaos Mountain, good. We all enjoy going up there and hanging out and having a good time, and it's very remote. Callaway Brewing Company is even more remote, and it was almost like one of those you have to know somebody kind of deals to show up.
Speakeasy.
I mean, you might show up and not know anybody, and real quick you're going to find out whether you belong or not. And if you belong, you might end up making some of the best friends you've ever met. And if you don't belong, you'll get out of there quick, and that's the last time you'll be up there. But I mean, the people, the beer, the people, the music. I mean, it was pure joy.
Well, Sterling is a great person.
Oh, he's a phenomenal person.
And I've known him since he was a pretty young kid, and he was a great guy. He's a smart guy. He's everything you need to be. I mean, if you want to, I mean, he's a great example of what somebody ought to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Non-judgmental.
Yeah.
Accepted for who, I mean, wasn't going to get walked on, but accepted everybody for who they were. You know, big melting pot of friends. He was friends with could be friends with anybody and everybody.
We got so many people like that around here. Like Isaiah's another one, talking about him last night. Like Isaiah he's one of those kind of people, like he could do anything he wanted to as well. If Isaiah wanted to go open up a brewery tomorrow, I guarantee you in 6 months he'd have some of the best beer because he's just a very motivated.
Because if he didn't know how to do it, he would surround himself with somebody that did.
And he would figure it out quick.
Oh, he's smart enough to do it. That's how smart people become successful.
Oh, he's super smart. He just bought a trailer park, man.
Well,
they don't know damn full move either.
But yeah, I agree. I think that, this community
was a little bit better when Callaway Brewing Company existed.
Well, yes, it was.
It was.
But I'm saying
everybody was a little bit better.
Everybody helps everybody out. And no matter what, I mean, we don't look at each other as competition, whether it's in your line of work or whatever. I mean, we ain't scared to pick up the phone and call each other, pick a brain, ask a question. I mean, I do it to him. He does it to me. We all do it to each other. And that's what it takes. I mean, that's what makes people better people is, being willing to.
That's community spirit. Yeah. It's community spirit.
I mean, there's lots of parts of the world where a lot of people don't even know their next door neighbor.
Well, and don't want to.
Yeah.
But, you said something there's like the people that live their life in competition with other people are a bunch of miserable shitbags.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they are.
That's just the facts.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and you don't even realize sometimes how some people are like that. And when you're worried about that type of thing, you're wasting your life. You're
not living, you're dying.
No, you're destroying your own self from the inside out because you don't have your stuff don't mean nothing, or your life don't mean nothing because you sit down worried about everybody else and paying attention to what they're doing. You don't even pay attention to your own life
or wallowing in your self-pity.
There's that out there too, isn't there?
A lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You look at, he's got something that, man, I wish I had, and, it's just, man, be happy for a minute.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can be envious of his sweet barn, but, I'll go over and check it out every now and then, or he'll call me up, hey, Amos, look at this, no, I mean, be happy, man.
Well, there's a lot to be happy about. That's why, like I said, if we could do it, that's a good reason to support the hell out of us because we want to. That's our ultimate goal. Let's make this show big enough to where we can have enough money and investment to tell Sterling to come home, get away from that whatever.
We'll be Simon's age before that happens, and Simon will be dead.
Yeah, and I'll be dead by then.
Oh, we got to move a little bit faster. Then we got to get out there, and we got to. And I have no, when Amos says something. I guarantee if I called him up tomorrow and be like, man, I'm going to shut the podcast down, he'd be like, what do you need to keep it going? We need to, because that's how we are around here. Like if we know our buddies are doing something that's worthwhile and is doing something to progress us in a good direction, we're going to do everything we possibly can to support
each other. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And not even just us. We'll do it to other people that might not know quite as well, just because they are verified from somebody that we might trust. Like, hey, you really need to help.
But that mindset has to be taught to the next generation and the next generation. That, it's, either the mindset of you're better than them, holier than thou, or help take care of each other. Make your children tip the band when you go listen to music. Make them appreciate the small things. Make them help each other, because I think that's something that you have to teach the next generation.
Well, sometimes you would have to teach yourself.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I'll catch myself and I'm like, why am I being this way about this? I'm not doing this right. I'll be like, you get riled up about something ridiculous, and it's all you get, and you're thinking about it, and you realize if you just stand back for a second and think about it, well, this ain't.
It don't even matter.
This ain't doing nobody no good. What I'm doing here, So you can better yourself, and you better hope. Your hope in your life should be to try to better yourself continually.
Well, leave the place in a better place than you left it is always a good way of looking at
Exactly.
it. And by doing that, these wonderful random acts of kindness, and I know that's a cliche, but, I think if you create that karma, it comes round and it circles back pretty quick, funnily enough. Whereas if you're just this hateful, mean-spirited jerk that is full of negativity and piss and vinegar, you're going to get what you deserve because it's going to come back and finish you off. Create your own karma.
Well, I think this show especially this specific show we're doing right here is a phenomenal example. Because for one, me and Amos sat down and talked about this for a long time last night. But here we are. We were we were here at the table with somebody who is, by multiple people I've spoke with and big in the industry, has been renowned as one of the best fiddle players on the planet.
Oh, I've heard that many times.
Many times. And I'm talking from people in high places. Yeah, it took us 45 minutes to get into him playing music and things like that because we can sit there and have a conversation that's not contrived whatsoever and not forced. And we want this to. That's what I told Amos last night. There was a kid, I can't remember, what was the kid up here, Damon's buddy last night? Nathan, yeah, I met him a handful of times. A great kid. And he was like, how'd you ever figure out how to do the podcast? How did you get good at what you were doing? I said, by coming up here to the wood shop once a month and sitting around with people and conversating. I said, that's how the show's gotten so successful because you learn how to talk to people with diverse backgrounds, with diverse stories, with, different paths, but they all come together and they all go up here and they sit around and they listen. You know what I mean? It boggles my wife's mind, I think, because, a lot of guys out there, if they want to go out and hang out with their buddies, they're going and golfing or going to the bar or something like that and watching sports. No, I'm like, I got to go up to Amos's at least once a month and sit up there till about 2:00 in the morning and talk
Live the good life.
And talk about life and contemplate and argue against people's ideas. And some nights you'll have somebody like Garland up there who's, 80-some years old and lived a very interesting life and a lot of wisdom to be gained from there. Sometimes you meet some young kid who's got a lot of questions and everything in between, but you go up there and you sharpen yourself. And then you can come in here and you can sit down and have a great show like this that a lot of people want to tune into because they're yearning for just legit, honest conversation. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I had this conversation, and my mother, bless her, she'd often say to me, Simon, you're spending way too much time in pubs. And that's part of the rugby thing. I mean, you go play rugby, you spend a lot of time in pubs and curry houses. But anyway,
what the hell is a curry house?
Oh, Indian food, mate.
Oh, well, I mean, when you say a house, you're thinking of, here we would probably think of a brothel immediately.
Right, no, just a restaurant, mate.
One of those spicy broths.
Exactly.
It's very spicy. But so it was all about, you're spending way too much of your time and money in these pubs. And I know most of the pubs in the southeast of England. So, I figured out that she was going to keep on this, and I had to find a retort that would crush her, and I'd never be accused of spending too much time in a pub again. And I was up in London playing rugby and doing something stupid, and we ended up going around all these pubs, and every now and again you'd run into one with a blue circle sign on it. Dickens drank here, Shakespeare slept here, or whatever, and all these taverns and old pubs.
Clearly, that's culture.
Absolutely. So and that's when it struck me. And the next time my mother swung around, she goes, again, you're in the pub again, are you? Yes, Mum, I am. But you know what? If it was good enough for Dickens, Chaucer, and Shakespeare, I think it's good enough for me. And it kind of crushed it. It was just like, you cheeky bastard. I could almost read her lips. It was a devastating blow because I never got accused of spending too much time in pubs again because clearly it was a very cultural experience with the likes of Chaucer, Dickens, and Shakespeare.
Well, for some people, it's not, it's about the conversation. It's about being around those type of people. If those people are at the, well, as you call them pubs, we call them bars around here. If you're at the bar with somebody, a lot of times, if you're there just for the conversation, because that's where you can find the good conversation, and the older you get, the more you move away from it. Like, once again, me and Amos had this conversation last night. I went to Radford University. I have a degree in political science. I blew and wasted 4 years of my life and $50,000 if you look at it from an educational perspective, if you're just looking at it from there. But if you look at it from the fact that I'd have never met my wife if I didn't take that path,
right?
If you look at it from the fact that I would have, my mom, what are you doing up there at college? Where's all your money at? Well, I threw some keggers last night. I never asked for $1. Now, I asked for donations if you want us to go get another one, but I paid for everything because my thought was, if you want to come hang out with us and come up here and hang out and listen to our music and play and hang out, I'm not going to charge you money. I'm not going to ask you to give money to me to come in here and drink. You come in here and drink and be merry, and if you're a good enough person, you'll chip in and it all pays for itself. So all the parties I threw, all the shenanigans Amos and I went through over all those years, as a parent, I can look at those if my children did it and be like, what the F were you thinking? What were you doing? But to reach where I've come to at this exact moment in my life, if none of those things happened, if I didn't do them the way I did them, I probably wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't have the ability to do what I do. So everything that you do, even if it is going to the pub and hanging out, like you got to find the best of your situation and take advantage of it and learn as much as you can from it. And it doesn't really matter what you do.
What you are.
It doesn't matter what you do.
But technology has took conversation out of society.
Well,
it's made people. It's made, like Mike Tyson said, it's made people get very, very, very confident in not being afraid to get the shit knocked out of them for saying something stupid, because you can say it on the internet and you can't say it in real. You won't say it in real life.
It just kind of occurred to me. We're all sitting here. Everybody has been educated in different ways and had different types of incomes and all this thing. But what you're doing and what you're talking about, like going to the pubs or even what we're doing right now, it brings people together that in a setting where you're all equal. And in other words, that's one of the best things about it is like the playing field is even for everybody, and it allows you to be in a situation like that as opposed to a bunch of different teams going at it, and that's one of the best things about it. I mean,
the social aspects of my upbringing with pubs is exactly that. The village green and the pub was all about social interaction. You'd see the same old pieces of furniture by the same old Jeremy Jenner or whoever
our village green had cow pies in it.
Oh, well, ours normally had a cricket pitch on it, old chap.
Well, yeah, okay, it might be a stereotype. You see it in the movies a bunch, but in English pubs out there, are y'all all in there like arm in arm singing songs and drinking beers and
your half pants that tight around the knees?
Because in America, you're not doing America. You got half the fans are Cowboys, half the fans are Redskins fans. You're in there and you're in the bar fighting each other over a game. But in England, it looks like everybody's just locking arm in arms with their big old glass.
That's Germany.
And they're singing crazy songs. No, England's the same way too.
Oh yeah. Well, if you've got a rugby club in the town or the village, they will take over that bar on a Friday night and a Saturday night, and you will be entertained. I guarantee it.
You've been entertained here just with bar fights, and
But that was also and this is what you did. On a Friday night, you'd spend your evening in the pub having a chit chat, seeing what everyone had been doing that week, and that was just a way of life.
And you do it when you're young for that social experience.
I did it when I was 14. Oops, sorry.
But when you get to be 45 or 50, maybe it's nice to go there once in a blue moon.
But, no matter whether you're in a pub or whatever, just challenging what you think or, pushing your brain to know more. Y'all know me. I think I'm a MacGyver. I can build anything, do anything.
You can.
No, I can't.
I've seen you do it.
And I go over to Billy's one night for something, and he's building a forge. And, he's all about designing, what's it called in the middle of the forge?
The forge pot, yeah.
Yeah. you know, he's like,
Fire
man, I
pit
couldn't
pop.
find what I want. I'm casting, getting somebody to cast my own. And, you know, completely intrigued by the whole process. And, you know, I mean, we're standing there and, you know, I'm just like, man, this
That's
guy's
wild.
designing his own because he can't find one, you know.
Didn't a
I
bit
thought he
defeat.
played music. I didn't know he beat metal.
Well, yeah, W.K. Webster, we glued some pieces of the beams that I used in the barn. We glued some of that together to the poplar, and he made a forge pot out of wood in the lathe for me. He made the ball. He made the ball to break the clinkers off and everything. And so I just took it over and had it.
Then he got it cast.
Had it cast at a foundry.
What he
Well,
wanted for his
you
forge.
knew what you wanted. You knew what you wanted to do, and you went out and did it.
Yeah.
Wow!
So he could have his own forge.
what a concept! Wow!
Well, I think that leads to a phenomenal question, and Billy, take no offense to this whatsoever, but by all accounts and by all the people, you know, you just talked to about your musical abilities, you could probably be sitting in Nashville right now in a penthouse apartment and making tons of money going out there and sitting in for the best music, the most popular country music stars or bluegrass stars. You could be doing all that with your ability, yet you're still here and you hang out and live up here still in Franklin County, which I think is just phenomenal. I think is amazing. Like
Well, let
but
me
you do it.
Let me say this about that. I play music from the soul. I don't read music. I do not have the ability to learn things fast when it comes to music. Maybe even lots of other things.
He about to tell some lies.
But I honestly,
He's being humble, ain't he, Amos?
well, no, I honestly don't have the ability. Now, I could go up and play a song with probably anybody that you're talking about, but to do it the way they wanted it done, I could never get that. I could never get that done because that's not me. I have to do things my own way, especially in music.
Because from the heart.
Well,
It's the soul.
because I'm not. My IQ is in a different place. In other words, I could have never done that, especially considering that I would have no passion for the music. Now, if it was 1950 some, and I could go play with Ray Price or somebody like some of these guys that I actually worship that old type country music, now I could do that. But what's happened in my lifetime? Well, when I was a kid, you know, basically the fiddle had been removed from music, country music, and then, you know, Ricky Skaggs, as bad as I hate to give him any kind of bad plug, he came out
Here we
with
go into that,
country.
please.
He came out with music and he had Bobby Hicks playing the fiddle with him from North Carolina, and he brought fiddles back to country music. But I just, there wasn't a place for me in that type of thing.
Because that's not what's in your heart. I mean, your heart and soul is playing, you know, I mean, you want to play from your heart. You're not going to play for the money.
The only thing I would absolutely be good at is playing what I wanted to play and what I love. I've been on recordings. People have hired me to play. I'm not a good studio guy.
I was about to say, session musician doesn't sound like your thing.
No, I mean, I've done it on small scales, and I've been on lots of different albums with lots of different people. But it's, to me, I'm just saying I appreciate your confidence in what I do, but I could have never been part of that. I mean, I've got friends that live in Nashville. I mean, by the hundreds. I mean, Clinton Gregory's a good friend of mine. He had some hit songs. He done real well there for a while. And I've got lots of friends that live down there right now. And I love to visit Nashville, and I love to go in the bars and to the places that play the kind of music that I like. But I could have never been that type of a musician, because I would have probably done it.
You have no desire to commercial musician.
Well, I have no desire. The bands that I played in, you know, over the years. Some of the bands were more. It was more fun to play in some than others. I mean, you know, just because you can do something, don't mean you can stand to do it. I mean,
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, technically, you have the ability to do it. You go out there and blow people's minds, but it just doesn't.
Well, if it ain't
where
from the
your
heart, it
is.
ain't from the heart.
Yeah, if it ain't from the heart, yeah.
well, it's the worst thing that probably with me in music was that I didn't realize that I had the permission from whoever to have my own band. If I would have thought that way a long time ago, I mean, I did try to have a band back when I was about 25, 6 years old, and we had a band called Bum Ride, and it was a decent band, but having a band is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Like trying to corral a football team.
It's pretty hard to think. I really have a lot more respect for all the people I've played for over the years, realizing the stress of like getting people to come to the shows and be on time and all the elements that nobody ever thinks about. Everybody just thinks about it. The only thing that happens is when you get on stage and start playing.
Yeah, to actually show up for a sound check.
Exactly.
And I mean, this is coming out of left field, but this just really crawls me a lot. I hate it. Hate it. I go to the brewery. Somebody's, band's playing music. 50% of the people is standing around the fire pit. Another 20% of the people's having their loud conversation in a corner. And 5% of the people is listening to the band. Which everybody's listening to the band. But
Not everybody's paying attention.
it's like yes, I love to socialize. Surprise.
You don't say.
Yeah, no shit.
But to me,
Socialize
Wow.
person.
if there's a band playing, listen.
Show some respect.
Yeah. The first time you heard him playing, y'all were playing down at the brewery, and I told Simon, I was like, listen, these guys playing down here, I was like, you need to come. So, him, Simon, Heather came down there, and we stood in there, and you
Just
done
enjoyed
got
the
the
shit
feeling
out of it.
good. You done dropped a bib strap, I think, at that point. Was ripping that fiddle apart. Simon looked at me and said, man, he's like, I've heard a lot of fiddle. He was like, I ain't never heard nobody play a fiddle like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I told Simon, let me see what I can do about getting him to the 4th of July party.
that was a beautiful thing. I loved
What
it.
a party it was.
Oh, yeah.
I always got a special place in my heart for the 4th of July party. This year I got to fly over it with Isaiah and do a flyover of the grounds as Simon was outside flipping us the bird in the airplane.
I couldn't believe you did that as well.
And the year before, I don't want to say it was necessarily the night, but there's definitely a correlation between 4th of July and my wife becoming pregnant. We found out it probably wasn't very long after that 4th of July that she found out she was a few weeks. And so, we possibly could have conceived a son leaving out of here. So I got a special place. I love
Leaving
the 4th
out
of
of
July.
here. I'm not even asking.
Actually, no, this most never mind. We're not going to talk about what I did the year before. We're not going to talk about what I did on the way home
move
from
on.
that.
Move on.
Well,
But this year was the best yet. I think it gets better every single
It
year.
was-
And
this
so
was a
many
tough
people
one,
in
though.
here listening to him playing music.
This was a tough one. There were actually too many people here.
that's what I agree with that.
Yeah. It got a little bit too big.
I never even got to listen to him play music.
It was only a little bit I was able
I
to
ran
listen
around
to
like a
Billy.
rat with my head cut
But
off.
there still wasn't riffraff here. It was too many people, but everybody here was all good intended people.
Everybody's here because Billy Hurt came and played music.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody found that they would come 5 Mile Mountain Road was coming to play music. There was people coming out of the woodwork to come to the party.
And of course, Isaiah, another phenomenal fireworks display. I mean, where else can the
Not one of those.
the 4th of July party of the country, much less Franklin County. I mean, the country.
Not one of those fireworks was legal. Not one. I guarantee you.
Isaiah's pyro.
Now.
Firing the cannon off. I mean,
Let's not get into technicalities here.
I've already talked about technicalities.
You know that, as far as I know, and I may be wrong, but I do not think so. Do you know why fireworks are illegal in Virginia?
I don't know why. Well, they're not illegal, but they can't leave the ground. So to me, that's not a firework.
Yeah, but I think, and my dad was a kid there was a warehouse somewhere in Roanoke. I'm calling it a warehouse. I'm not. It was a building,
Right.
and it blew up. It was a bunch of fireworks there,
Oops.
and because you used to just go by you used to go buy stuff that could blow your hand off. Just go.
Yeah, M80s can do that.
Well, yeah, but this was like my dad was born in 1930.
Right. So he had quarter sticks and all that good stuff as well.
But there was an explosion in Roanoke. I'm talking about it broke windows out of houses like 5 miles away and stuff like that. It was a big deal.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Right, and I'm quite sure that was part of the reason that fireworks were outlawed in Virginia. Because you can go anywhere else,
Well, if you're licensed to set them off, you can still set them off. But you have a fire marshal that has to approve.
We're on very thin ice here, Amos. We need to change the subject rather rapidly.
What I'm saying, it's not illegal to set them off. If a private individual.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is it's kind of ridiculous. What I'm saying. I mean, I've seen a lot of things destroyed in my life by stupid shit, but I've never really seen fireworks cause that much damage, unless somebody was trying to do something with them wrong.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the fact remains you can buy tannerite here that can blow some shit up good and proper, but you can't buy fireworks that leave the ground. Well, in the state. And again, I'll leave that subject well alone because I'm going to keep being going to be a repeat offender.
I've got a lot of friends that are pyro guys. That's what they do for a living, and being the stagehand, I'm around it all the time.
Oh yeah, I love it.
But I just think it's an overprotective law.
Again, it's nothing
There's
unusual.
a whole lot of them that are.
Most of them are.
I mean, they should.
It's saying that only the people that tell you what to do are smart enough to know anything about something, type of deal.
What was it? Kevin, he's down there doing a big fireplace in the house. We was talking about something the other day, and he said, if we have to have safety gas cans to save somebody from hurting themselves, we don't need them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of that gene pool issue we've come back on already. Didn't take long, did it?
That's what.
Well, yeah, but you have ignorant and you have stupid. It's two different things.
What's the sticker on hair dryers?
And then you have so ignorant that they don't know they are.
If you watch TV and movies, gas does different things in TV and movies than it does in real life. I mean, you'll have a guy sitting here pouring this room full of gas and then lighting a lighter and holding it and then dropping it and then running out the door. Nah, it ain't what happens.
Doesn't work like that.
No, he's dead as soon as that lighter flicks. But I mean, I'm just saying, if you don't think that makes people stupid, you're wrong. I mean, people watch stuff like a gun shooting a car blows the car up and all this. It's like all these ridiculous things that are not real. And you have people that have never experienced life enough. I mean, I've poured gas down through a molehill.
I did it with a bee's nest.
And had it blowing shit. Like when you lit
Darn
it,
right.
you could hear it going under, boom, 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 and then come out in another place and blow up. I mean, it's not what people. That makes people stupid is watching. Like thinking a shotgun will shoot through that wall and stuff.
And kill somebody on the other side.
Well, yeah, blow a hole in the door. I was stupid one time. We were out driving around in this ice and snow one night in my Jeep, and we came across this tree that was about this big around, 6 inches around, 5 inches. I had about 357 Magnum, and I was like, I'll just shoot that tree into it.
Into oblivion.
I just going to tell you right now, I did not shoot the tree into it, nor did I miss it. But I mean, it was almost like, how dumb can you be? I mean, Rambo does it. He's got a 22 short and just blows a house down with it.
Now, I was accused of doing something redneck with a 12 gauge slug. We got a tree hung up, and it was hung up bad on one limb. And I didn't put the tree down, but it was a widowmaker, and I tried to get come-alongs on it. We had chain. I tried to cut it again to make it drop, but it was hung up on this one branch. And I'm like, man, I've got to bring it down because it's potentially could. It was a widowmaker in the truest sense of the word. I thought, shit, what am I going to do? Oh, just struck me. 12 gauge. Grab the gun, grab the slug, and I'll shoot the supporting limb down. And sure as hell I did. 3 shots later, the limb shatters, and the tree comes down. And that was just redneck engineering. It was a beautiful thing.
But most people, you was talking about 357 trying to...
I think this was a locust, too, by the way.
Oh, that'll do it, yeah.
It wasn't a poplar?
I forgot to tell y'all that part.
Above ground coal. But most people, a lot of people never have the chance to live like that. Everything's done for them, or they live in such a bubble. They don't
experience those kind of things.
Well, everyone's used to getting their arse wiped by someone, and I'm no longer wiping people's arses.
I mean, they didn't sit around with their brothers and cut the end of the shotgun shells off and stack dimes in them to see how many dimes you could shoot out of a shotgun shell.
I don't believe you just said that.
That's a weird way to blow money.
They'll fit right in a 12 gauge.
Yeah, they will.
You better not shoot them through one that's got a tight choke.
Uh-uh.
No, don't do that. Open the choke up.
Some of this stuff.
Well, no, I mean, it goes back to the 4th of July party up here, and like I said, you get the fireworks display that is every bit as good as the one you're getting in Rocky Mount for the event on Friday night every single 4th of July. But you're ending up here with nothing but you're surrounded by hundreds of people that are all like-minded in the fact that they all are looking for a way to better themselves better. It's what you need. It's what we have to do. We have to continue to do things like that. And no matter, it'll get a little bit bigger this year than you might have anticipated, because Billy and them are coming up here playing, and word of mouth really is the greatest thing. That's why I encourage people to word of mouth for this show. Tell people about it, because that's much better than any advertising I can do.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, you get people up here and you learn so much about everybody coming from different corners of this county, what we're all going through in different parts of the state, and what we're all facing, and things like that.
It was a very diverse crowd as well, across all age generations.
But at the end of the day, all your kids are playing and hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. We need our kids to, they are our future. And I can't say enough about it. Like, I like every single person we have on the show want to invite up there. If we just had everybody we've had on the show invited up there, we'd have enough people to probably maximize the amount we...
Yeah, I mean, having Ella's Eats up as well was a great... because what in the past we've been doing a lot of the food prep, and then people would bring up their dishes, and the barbecues would be running, there'd be a pig on the spit. And it was a lot of hard work to do that. So having Ella's Eats up was just a stroke of genius on Amos's part there, because it took an enormous amount of pressure off.
Honestly,
and they had a blast.
Next year, I think you if you had the same situation you had this year, you could probably have 2 food trucks up there.
Yeah, no, that's too big, man. Don't know. I'm looking to downsize a little bit, because it got to a point where it wasn't. I'm not saying I didn't have a good time. I had a blast, but I was pretty sober, and that was at 10 o'clock, which is kind of weird.
Well, from past experiences that I've had, I will say this: cooking for a party. Now I enjoy that. Now understand
I
me.
love it.
I enjoy. I mean, I fixed up big 6-gallon pots of chili. I've done all kinds of different things. Had people come and cook hogs and all that stuff. But when you're throwing the party and you have to cook yourself, you're a damn cook at the end of the day.
Yep.
And what I mean is, it's not that you're not having fun, because I'm having fun cooking, but you cannot socialize hardly any.
Nope.
And even just hosting a party in general is a situation that puts you in a situation where you can't really socialize
let loose
it properly.
Yeah, I can't let loose like I was expecting.
Yeah. Well,
to a degree you can, though. To a more degree, the fact that you know and understand you have enough people up here, though, that will look out for your best interest, even if you can't be there. Like if something's going on, that me or Amos saw going on, we could go up there and tell them this is not acceptable up here, and speak for you. You have that at least. So you have a little bit of comfort, and we had the same thing. We used to throw parties back in the day. We had enough comfort to know that people around here would police themselves to the most part. Yeah. So you don't really have to worry about a lot of that.
No, and
nonsense.
But wasn't necessarily concerned. It just got less personal.
Well, because you had so many people up here that you couldn't talk to everybody. And I think that was one of my biggest deals is I felt so bad because there was a ton of people, that I invited to come up there. And And when you personally invite individuals, it's not like a big group text chat where you're like, hey, everybody come up here. You're inviting individual people. And when they do show up, you think, well, you feel obligated to go over there and speak with them for a little bit. So the greatest part about the 4th of July party that is almost the worst part of it is you go up there expecting, well, hey, I'm going to go up there and me and Simon and Amos, all good friends, we're going to go up there, we're going to have the time of our lives, hang out. But the long and the short of it is there's so many other people up there because we invited them, we have to tend to them as well that we don't even get to hang out. Like, we don't even see each other and hang out. Like, you and Amos, two of my closest friends in the world, I barely even spoke to for your 4th of July party because I was busy, because we had Brandon, from our State of Appalachia show, the Smoky. He came down here. And,
That's right. He was here.
I had Emmett Bird showed up.
We had Caleb.
Yes.
And we weren't quite sure where Caleb was going to go, so he needed policing. Actually, he needed a personal attendant throughout the
Caleb,
evening.
you don't even. I need to really play you that 30 minutes of the Caleb show that we made an attempt at. The only show to never come to fruition.
Well, I'm looking at just shaking my head at Billy over here.
Caleb
Flora, yes, absolutely.
And he was so
the
destroyed.
one and only.
And I'm just looking at Billy here, shaking my head, going, "There's nothing here. We can't put this out. This is a bomb." I'm just laughing.
I did I went up there. I set up everything. I had like 8 mics around the table. Took me like 45 minutes to get it all set up. Had everything going. Of course, Amos didn't even show up for that one. He showed up towards the end of the night.
He knew,
but
he knew.
But yeah. I said, Caleb, man, you have so many interesting stories. Like, I think Caleb would be phenomenal in front of a mic. When he used to have the Twisted Cow Fest, we talked about this on the show before, but when he used to have the Twisted Cow Festival down there at Triple Creek Park, he only had it for a few years, but in that time frame, at one point in time, he had Morgan Wade down there, I guess. Is that her name? She's one of the biggest, uprising country music stars in the country from Floyd. He had Mason Vi on there, who now plays with Old Crow Medicine Show. And he also had, who's the other one he had up there? Morgan Wade, Mason, and there was it was Crawford and Power maybe before they were.
Right.
Yeah. So three, very culturally well-known people that Caleb just had down there randomly, how he threw that festival up. And we brought him up there for the show. I said, all right, finally my Caleb episode. I think this one will be one of the biggest, and this will draw in a whole new crowd, a whole new audience, because he knows so many people. So many people are going to tune in just to hear what he's got to say. Then they're going to be like, well, what other shows these guys got? And they're going to go back, and we're going to have a whole...
Didn't work out that way, did it?
We didn't make it 30 minutes into the show.
Was it Kim?
Actually, we made it 20, and I started wondering, and I looked at Simon, and finally, after about 30 minutes, I said, we can't keep doing this.
Well, Kim was there, wasn't she?
Kim Possible.
I think she was.
Yeah.
She was. Now, as soon as she came walking in as well, and I knew Caleb was not.
Oh, she was 3 sheets to the wind, too.
She was 3 sheets to the wind. Caleb was not compos mentis. I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah, I felt bad for Kelly, because he was there that night, and he's sitting across the table, and I kind of wanted to, get to his, because I just want to be like, dude, you and who you are and what you do for a living, how in the hell are you up here in this,
it was an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Couldn't even get to him like he introduced himself. And then
barely.
And then I try and get to Caleb, and Caleb just, you can see the progression of him just going from 50% coherent to 40% coherent to 30%. And next thing you know, he's slurring his words so bad you can't even understand what he's saying. I just looked at Simon and I said, I can't keep the show going.
I can't have that on those big jobs.
But it's,
yeah, we know we've hit the big time when we got a couple of failures like that. Wow. Well done, Caleb. I know you're listening.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's one of our biggest shows and supporters. Patreon supporter, too. Thank you so much, Caleb. Love you to death.
Your reputation's been completely shot right now.
Like your post on Facebook yesterday, too. I sent that to Amos. I do. I like it. I don't know if you haven't seen it yet, Simon. But good for you, Caleb. We love you for it, man. We'll have to show it to you.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But love him to death. What a good, Caleb Flora. What
That's all you got to say.
He's a legend in his own lunchtime. Just a legend. Oh yeah, legend in his own lunchtime.
I don't. He knows so many. Like me and Amos. Oh my God, this should be, like I told Simon earlier, I said maybe we should start regulating shows down to about 2 hours and then maybe having like a 30 or 40 minute after show kind of. You keep going, but you put that on Patreon. But I'm going to tell this one on this show just to get you to come to the Patreon at some point in time. But my bachelor party, Caleb was there, and what a phenomenal night that was. Not because of anything that we did, just because of the camaraderie. We could have did that anywhere and had a blast, but for the simple fact that it was at that specific bar in Roanoke, it made it that much better there with Caleb. Like my bachelor party, I didn't have anybody in my wedding party do a bachelor party for me except for Amos, and which is understandable. And he just called me up 2 days for the wedding. He's like, ain't nobody done nothing yet, have you? I said, no. He said, all right, let's go out tonight. And he showed up with Caleb and then Brian Jones, who I hadn't seen in like 5 years previous, and I hadn't seen in 5 years since. But he showed up that night, and
that's bad company to start with. All you got to put is Amos and Caleb together, and you know what's going to happen.
Caleb at my bachelor party too, no less.
That's a disaster.
It made it a better. I mean, we could have rounded up a bunch of friends and went to Charlotte for the weekend or Nashville or whatever the hell all my other buddies do, and it would not have amounted to that night with just Amos and Caleb in the 2 places we decided
we
to go.
walked into the establishment, and Caleb was calling the girls that was working the establishment by name.
I think I know the establishment you might be talking about. The establishment you might be talking about.
Probably.
Oh, so well done,
Well,
Caleb.
it's a place that
Yes.
Yes.
Now, my godson came over a few years ago, young Henry.
Oh, yes.
I heard.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and Caleb, and I know the bugger's listening, he absolutely destroyed him one night. He said, I'm just going taking your godson for a drive around the village. I won't be long. I'm like, hang on, this is Caleb. I've just let my godson out the door with Caleb. Flora, what was I thinking?
They ended up at my place.
They went all over the darn place.
Ivan's.
They got Ivan. They were out. I don't know what they were shooting, but we'll leave that one alone as well. He manages to come back. It must have been 3.5 hours later. And then Ivan and Chrissa come crashing through the door because Chrissa had to drive them because they got so tore up. And then my godson was just completely incoherent. So he got Caleb florid.
Yeah, I gotta imagine what kind of a culture shock is it when you have relatives and friends coming over from England and they come over here to Callaway, Virginia, because I gotta imagine in their mind, and we do all the same. When we think of England as Americans, we think of London, we think of France, we think of Paris.
That's where Henry lives in London. Right?
It's very close.
So
to
when you're thinking of America, I can only assume that most people around the world are thinking of New York City, L.A., Chicago, D.C.
Well, yeah, and even when you live in the country, you don't think of New York State as you think of it as New York City.
Exactly.
Until you've ever been anywhere a lot of times,
Yeah, we're all guilty of it, but to think of those things and then come here and find themselves not in New York City, not in L.A., they find themselves in Callaway with Caleb Flora.
Caleb Flora.
What a wonderful thing to do.
I mean, the poor child.
I recommend this to everybody.
I mean, I was saying one time about Caleb, I don't even remember who I was talking to, and I was like, if the mothership landed and aliens climbed off of it,
hey, Caleb's here.
And Caleb would be like, hey, where y'all from? Hey, let's go see such and such. Yeah.
The next guy they'd need to be introduced to would be Wilson. Just imagine where that would go.
I'm not sure about that one. You got to think about that a little bit deeper.
But Caleb is just, it's Caleb, man.
He did. I mean, Henry hasn't stopped talking about it since. Oh, how's Amos going? How's Caleb? And what's Ivan up to?
Oh, me and Caleb
destroyed them all.
On Henry.
I'll end up wanting to come to the States and be like, well, why do you want to become an American citizen? Have you ever partied with Caleb Flora?
that would be it.
Like, that's why I want to come here.
Yeah. Oh, that's an instant, rubber stamp. He's passed.
Oh, yeah. He's all right.
He made it through.
I understand.
Surviving one night with Caleb Flora.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you want to talk about a whirlwind of welcome to the mountains.
Welcome to Appalachia.
Yeah. Henry in the Callaway.
Living in London.
Yeah. Very well. Very well brought up. Went to a magnificent private school.
Proper.
Oh, very. Yeah, very proper.
And Caleb
This is
is
very
Caleb,
improper around here.
yeah, Caleb is that.
He picks it up pretty quick, though. I got to tell you.
And me and Caleb, we were. That's the year that we did the hog. We
That's
barbecued
right.
the hog.
That's right.
So he shows up into Callaway. Here we are cooking a whole pig on a cooker, and then
The night before, so
yeah,
the
then we
night
turned
before
Caleb
was
loose with Henry.
like, it was just it was a disaster. It was great. Sorry,
No, it's
Henry.
one of them things that you can't make up. You don't see coming, and for the rest of your life.
That's a memory. You'll never
Yes.
forget it.
But there's one thing that you may be interested in knowing. And Caleb, I hope you're listening. to
Oh,
this.
he's definitely listening. Caleb's one of our biggest supporters. Love him to death.
I remember the first time I ever seen Caleb because you see, I knew his family all my life.
Oh, I got a
his
story
his uncle worked at the gas station in Boonesville, which I wish was still there. And anyway, Caleb looks exactly like he did when he was a baby right now.
Absolutely.
He's never changed a
Got the
lick.
same amount of hair, too.
He had, no doubt. But he had when he was a baby, like a toddler, he was wearing glasses, and he's never changed a bit. And I consider that a really cool thing because there's not many people that don't go through different changes. But Caleb looks he's just a bigger version of the first time I ever saw him.
Caleb was young. I mean, I don't know how old he was. I'm going to say 7, 8 years old, probably. We were all hunting over on a friend of mine's farm, and that he would not quit talking.
You don't say.
I mean, we were in the truck. I mean, just nonstop. Blah, 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 blah. And I looked over at Caleb. I said, look, I was like, if you don't say another word till we get back to the house, I'll give you $10.
He didn't get the $10.
Yes, he did.
Ah, damn.
Boom. He did not say a single word. He sat over there and looked through them glasses out the window. And as soon as we were inside of the house, he looked over at me.
Give me my $10.
Give me that $10. And went right back to the jab room.
I love it.
There you go. He must have been broke. That's what
He was a
happened.
kid, young.
He must have been enterprising, is what I would say.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wow.
Love
that's
him,
bloody
man.
Funny.
Love him.
I know his old man listens as well. So,
I look at Caleb as a little brother.
I think a lot of people do. Funnily enough.
I've questioned a whole lot of stuff Caleb's done.
I think he's questioned quite a lot of stuff he's done too.
But no matter what, I like Caleb.
Which it's weird how I met Caleb because, of course, and this is a crazy part about, college or whatever is, I knew a lot of people, from Franklin County. When I was my last year at Radford, now granted, I went to Emory a couple years and then went overseas for a year and then came back and then just kind of took a year off to party at Radford. And then most of my credits didn't transfer. So I spent a lot more time up there than I probably most people should have. But the next to my last year, I guess my junior year and my last year in Radford, because I moved to Blacksburg for my senior year and joined a fraternity at Virginia Tech. That's a whole nother story in itself. I'll tell at a later date because I wasn't even at the school. But yeah, so I was having a party one night over there in Radford. It had been my junior year, and it was probably 2007. And met a couple guys from, and it's Fauquier County, and it's up
Farquhar.
these guys pronounced it Fauquier County. Yeah,
Should be Farquhar.
and of course, you made play on words with that county as well. If you were just trying to mess,
Why wouldn't you?
These two, they were freshmen. And, they come up here and started hanging out with us and partying a little bit. And we kind of just took them under our wing and let them hang out with us. And they come up here whenever they want to. And, ultimately, one of the guys' dads was so grateful that we were, good to his son that he actually came down and twice took us to Bristol and in Martinsville Speedway in the same year, paid for all of our camping, all of our race tickets, all of our food, alcohol, everything for just showing his son a good time. We camped out the whole week. So, but these guys, there was another chick up there that went to school with them that went to Tech, and Tech and Radford are so close. And she hung around the ag people a lot, and she happened to know Caleb. And so she told him one day, she's like, "Hey, I'm going to party over here in Radford." And he's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, I got my friends from school, and they party with these guys from Franklin County. And Caleb didn't know who I was. And he shows up one night, and I never forget him since.
There
I've
you
been friends
go.
with him ever. Like, man, you're from the same town as us. Yeah, absolutely. You're like, well, I know your grandpa, I know your dad. They up there at the Moose Lodge and this and this and this. And Caleb still to this day, he calls me about every week. We talk for about 30, minutes on the phone and, see how he's doing down there in Texas and all this kind of stuff. But he leaves an impression.
Oh, he does.
He definitely leaves an impression. The world could be a lot better with a whole lot more of Caleb's. I can honestly say that.
I think there's an element of caution required on that statement.
Well, I feel like that we could all, if we were willing to socialize as much as Caleb's willing to, don't judge.
No, he's put. I
Just
mean,
socialise.
think of the people he's put together over his years.
A lot
of
of people.
misspent youth.
He's an amazing guy. I mean, since he's been an adult, I mean, he's like one of the most fun people in general to be around. He's a very positive person, and I think the world needs a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yes.
yeah, I agree there.
Absolutely.
I think I need to hit him up this weekend and be like, Caleb, do you mind if we?
Well,
He's coming in for
up.
Christmas.
He'll
I
be here
know.
for Christmas.
Do you mind if we release your show to Patreon, maybe to the first 30 minutes of it?
I think we got to get him on another show, and then we can do the difference between the two shows. So whilst he's here, maybe towards the end of
if he's
December,
around on Christmas, we got to make that happen.
we'll make
But
that happen.
when he gets here. Whoever is in charge of Caleb that day,
Don't you look at me like that, Billy.
Whoever has
started
his
it.
best interest in mind, don't let him start drinking at
You started it,
11 o'clock in the morning.
and apparently you finished it.
I did. I finished it though from
Yeah,
them. Like it's nothing.
yeah.
I was just like,
And you wondered-
maybe we should try this on the show one time.
And you wondered what was going to happen.
You have to do him like Hannibal Lecter. put him on a feed cart and just roll him in here.
That's not a
Good
bad
luck.
idea. That may be. Sorry,
I hate
Caleb.
to be the guy that had that job.
Well, it's he's solid, man. When he,
yeah, it sucks he's in Texas, but it's almost
No, it
good.
don't.
But almost good. It sucks because he's not here. You know what I mean? To hang out with us, but
Texas is the best thing.
but
ever.
it's good for him.
It's very good for him.
It's good for him. It's bad for us. Like we wish we had him here to hang out, but it's good for him to be down there and doing that cowboy stuff and the roping and like thinking about him doing that kind of stuff is just
he's in
heaven.
he's in his element.
oh yeah,
And he's cracking nuts all day.
yeah, that too. He better
Yes.
be bringing us some.
I'm sure he is.
Oh, he said he was.
I'm sure he
going to.
will.
Bless him.
Yeah, but I mean, it goes back to the bigger picture of the kind of community you can have around here, and you could do this anywhere. Like anybody listening to this, if you're not listening and you're not from Franklin County, you can have this in your own community too. Go out there and find those people, figure it out. Like we all, it happened in our own ways here, and we can sit there and say how it happened for us, but it doesn't mean that's how it's going to work out for you. But you got to go out there and figure it out for yourself. Figure out how to get in touch with those people in your community that are all eventually striving, for
Your
something a little bit
communities-
better.
Be willing not to be in a box.
Yeah,
Be willing
exactly.
not to be in your own bubble.
Well, also be willing to talk to people that you think might have a different opinion about things than yourself.
Well, that's who you want to talk to.
You bridging the gap. I mean, most people are way closer to each other than they realize they are. And that's
I think we've seen that on this show particularly.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
And I go back to it a lot, but rightfully so, having Darnell and Brian on here,
Yeah.
Simon and I come on here and we ask and beg anybody, if you have, ideas that you want to present, if you think we're wrong or you want to call us what you want to call us, and come on here and defend your position and let's do it amicably. And them two are the only two to step up to the plate and do it. Out of all these people out here, we offered anybody and everybody that was running for office this year in Franklin County or the region, whether it be, state politics or national, to come on the show and talk about what you want to do. We only had 2 people take us up on that.
Well, for one thing, there ain't many people that are damn honest and enough and willing enough to tell their true position on anything.
Exactly. They're afraid of pissing off an X amount of the percent of the. Guess what? You're going to piss off somebody no matter what.
Well, there's
Whether it's one
there's
person
no
or
need
100.
to be radical about things. You can have your position without being ridiculously radical about something.
Exactly.
You don't have to, you know, you don't have to bring a baseball bat to a conversation every time. You know, some people feel that way about that. What do you think inspired me? And what a baseball bat he
Governor.
had.
But
Governor.
and don't you think that a lot of that is having appreciation for, you know, for have appreciation for each individual, you know, what they do, what, you know, a lot of people don't, you know, if they can't identify with, you know, then they have no reason to discuss it, talk about it, think about it, you know. But if you can't identify with it, you know, that's even more reason to discuss it with somebody.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things about our last show, Simon. I mean, I know we had a phenomenal time. We had a lot of great people show up. I mean, Greg James, Cheryl Witcher, come on, talk about Ella's Eats. We had Henry Law, Robin James, all these great people, your friend Jonah, Chris Montgomery joined us. I mean, the list goes on and on. But at the same time, I was hoping, you know, some of our biggest critics would have showed up, you know, and
Nowhere to be seen.
And sat down, and at least, you know, I had two particular people in mind.
Me?
No, you're not. No, I get your criticism off air. I don't need it behind the face of a computer. But a certain individual that ran for town council that seems to have a stick up his hind end for us, and you didn't and didn't win his position. I wish you would have come by here and voiced his grievances, you know. And then, you know, you got a local business owner. I'm not going to mention his name at all. He may or may not have a company that goes through and takes things from old houses and resells them back on the internet. You know, you want to, you know, criticize us and tell us we're wrong and stuff, but you don't want to step up to the plate when we give you the opportunity to do it. And I understand why. I mean, I know, you know. So if you want to come on here, we can talk about that, but don't come criticize me when, you know, all we're doing is we're trying to better the community in a positive way. And if you want to have criticisms, then come on and do it, and let's talk about it. But if not, let's get in the right direction. Let's get in lockstep and figure out how we can do it to a personal, you know. I wanted them to show up,
Well,
Simon.
we should all be looking to engage our local politicians, whether they're
But not with a baseball bat.
no, but not with a baseball bat. We should be able to engage all our local elected representatives, whether it's school board,
Well, they're elected.
board of
but are they
supervisors.
representatives?
Well, that's the problem. That's really the problem, because they're not engaging. They're not really representing. So, you know, there's the biggest problem with that position. And that's true of the town council for Rocky Mount. It's true of the board of supervisors for Franklin County. And it's true of the school board. So all of these boards, as soon as the elected position people are in their positions, their accountability to their constituents is absolutely irrelevant. You know, they're not. Where are all the town halls that they should be engaging in? Well, you can't even ask a question and get an answer from them at public meetings, and they try and stem that flow of communication with them by not being answerable directly, and then not engaging their constituents with town halls, because you obviously can't engage with them at their place of business being a public meeting. So what is the point?
Well,
where was the EDA? What happened to that one? Nearly came out with one there. What happened to that EDA meeting where those shits just hid behind a closed door?
Well, some people are so they're worried about the apple cart more than they are about anything else. They're worried about their jobs. They get their jobs to make money. They don't. That's the problem with politics in general. Is, you know, so many people are wanting this job and this position for their own use, and some of it may be even innocent. You know, I want to sit on my ass and do nothing and get paid, and I don't want to say anything that means anything, because then somebody would be upset with me.
Or if you ever fixed anything, then you have nothing to campaign on.
They don't concept the barter system as well as we do.
Well, they don't want to be judged. Now, you can be judged poorly.
Oh, yeah, they want to be judged.
Well, I mean, but do they?
Yeah, but small town politics a lot of times it involves the fact that I'm just going to keep things just the way they are, just because nobody's complaining in public or whatever. I mean, that's a generalization, and I understand that. But you will have that in small towns. I mean, we live in a county that has one town.
Right.
I mean, you mean a real town. I mean, even though Boonesville's a real town, there's not much there. I'm just saying Rocky Mount is all we have in Franklin County. And you will have this problem continually. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, that's apathy. And
yes.
I think if we're looking for improvement, you've got to get rid of that apathy.
And I'm not making complaints. I'm just saying that's just.
Well,
I want improvements. I'm not. It's
Right,
not complaining though. Things can be done better.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
If you view that as a complaint or a criticism, you may not want to be in public office because your skin ain't thick enough.
Me and my wife, we were talking one night recently about Franklin County, Rocky Mount, and my wife's way smarter than I'll ever be. She said,
Prettier too.
"Oh, way." Only a dying town has banks and restaurants closing down.
Oh yeah.
And you look at Rocky Mount. Look at all the restaurants that have closed down. I mean, it's clearly that things in this county could be run better.
Well, the pandemic and the Wu flu definitely had a major influence, whether we want to admit that or not.
It did everywhere.
So that whole
this didn't start then.
Oh no, we were already on that road. I agree. Yeah.
Well, you can see that simply by looking at the things that people have tried to do that have failed due to non-participation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people have. I like to see like in Rocky Mount. I love to see somebody open up something that's successful and brings people here. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
a private business, not the town throwing tons of money.
What I'm saying is, like, when you look at, we live in the moonshine capital of the world, and I'll wear that on as a badge till I die.
Oh yes.
When you have a bunch of jackasses down in Tennessee claiming that like having 1 million people a week coming to drink the sorriest liquor on earth, and we have the best liquor in the world here, we don't have a damn we don't have that. Like, we don't have people trying to do something with that
because there's so many restrictions.
Well, you also have people that don't want anybody coming to town.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about people in power. I'm just talking about people. They don't understand that a little bit of tourism wouldn't hurt this place none. I mean, if we had the situation, our moonshine situation in this county, it ought to be a damn museum and it ought to be all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
It ought to be.
We should be embracing that history
instead of like. Just
rather than denying it. Is that wokeism shit again?
Well, at the same time, there's also a religious aspect to it, though. There's a lot of we still are teetering on the line of the Bible Belt around here, and you do have a lot of people that
ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, to some people it does. Though.
Well, I mean, I understand
their families were in it,
but I understand some of the opposition. But I can say this right now. When you have something like what they got in Gatlinburg down there, and the people going down there and flocking to drink that crap liquor down there that tastes horrible, and we have a real tradition here. And in other words, now that it's come down to wherever the stories are being told, you got Henry and these boys and Kenny and these guys in the public eye now. They're not staying. It's all out in the open. Well. A lot of it's out in the open.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good and positive thing to at least embrace a little bit. I don't think we need 5 million people crowding up the roads, but I mean a little bit of tourism.
Yeah, people wanting to come in away from Roanoke, coming down 81. Hey, this is Franklin County. It's only 30 minutes. I did that when we went down to Georgia a few years ago.
We've said that the whole vision around the town seems to hang on the Harvester being a success. And to a certain extent, I think that model is correct. I think it's actually a good investment to have a performance centre in the town. The fact that it's been mismanaged so poorly by the two clowns that are running the show over there, and I'm not talking about the mayor or any of the councillors. You know who you are. The Harvester is the way forward. And if it's run properly, then you've got Philip Bain's Hotel, then you've got the Burger Company, you've got Buddies, all these local businesses
right down there.
And, exactly.
Twin Creeks Distillery.
So
right
a little bit of embracing, your history, your agricultural history, the moonshine history. Absolutely. The music.
Sure.
We're on. This is the
What's your
crooked
take
road.
with the Harvester.
There's a guy that was the guy that was running it before. I didn't care for him at all.
The former town manager.
No, not the town. I'm talking about the guy that was
manager.
the manager of the whatever his name. This guy
is that the guy who runs the coves down there? And okay, yeah, you can figure it out then, people.
This guy, I'm sorry, I'm nothing in music and the whole thing, but this guy hired us to play a show over there or whatever, and basically what he did, he denied us the microphone that we wanted, and all it was is he was just being a jerk, and I'm sorry, but I think after 40 years in this coming year will be 40 years that I've been playing professionally. I started playing professionally when I was 13 years old.
Right on.
And I'm nothing. I'm not trying to say that I matter in the scheme of things. What I'm saying is when you are some jackass that don't play music or you run something and you treat me like you treat these other guys that come in on the bus like they're a god, and you're going to act like that I'm nothing because I live in the same community, even though I played in Europe and all over the country and all over Canada on boats,
all over the world.
But I can't have a damn microphone because you're too cool for that. I don't go for that kind of stuff.
Well, this is we had issues with.
Damn, that touched the nerve, Billy. I'm sorry.
Oh well, I mean that's a good thing. Hey, get
we
it
didn't
out.
know about this because the Harvester, when it came about, its biggest promotional thing was we're going to be supporting local music. We're going to be supporting the people around here.
Well,
we are the beginning of the Crooked Road, which is a very local kind of thing. So, you've got one of the best local musicians, that it's renowned.
Well, they lied.
Renowned around the world right here, sitting in your back.
They
door.
lied.
And you treat them like they're, Doe Run gutter trash.
I mean,
oh man,
I'm from Doe Run, so I can say that. So,
but I'll say this right now to go along with what you said. I think the Harvester is a great thing that needs to be.
Absolutely.
I honestly don't know anything about the politics of it or what you're talking about because I don't follow that type of stuff.
You just want to play music.
Well, let me say this about that. If you want to support music and the arts, whatever, don't complain about the damn price. We played in Chicago the other day on a show, had 100 people, both. That's all the capacity of the room. And I think they had to pay $30 to see my band.
Right on. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
And this idea that some people have in their head that everything should still be $5 a piece when you got to go pay $15 or $20 to see a damn movie. If you don't have any money, I'll play for you for free. But when you can afford to see a show, don't be sitting around complaining about the price of the show.
You're saying when you're saying the price of the show, are you talking about what?
If it costs $50 to see a band that travels on the road.
I didn't know if you was talking about the people coming to listen or
I'm saying
the negotiating with.
Oh no, not the venue part. I'm just saying that people need to embrace the idea. I've had 1,000 people come up to me over the years and say, "Well, how do you make any money doing this? How do you drive to?"
Well,
how do you drive to Montana and play a show?
Because your tickets aren't $5 a pop.
Well, also, that's what we do. A truck driver gets paid for his job, plus the miles are free, and that's the way it is with us.
I mean, none of us said it was an easy way of life, right?
Right, but the thing of it is, so many people want to be tight when it comes to going and seeing shows, and I'm not. Hey, I know that some people don't have enough money to do this, and that's fine. But I wish that moving along with the conversation about the Harvester. I think the Harvester is a great thing as far as having that, like what you're saying.
Having a music venue.
I think that having that music venue is a wonderful thing in the community, and I support that 100%. And I support the people that come there and play from other states and the higher up bands.
Yeah, they got some big names coming through there for sure.
Well, it ain't even about being big names.
But it should be a mix, and it we know it's been mismanaged by several clowns in the past and the current.
Well, the thing of it is, the problem is with anything like that, any venue like that, so many times people that don't fully understand what's going on get a position taking care of something that they don't know anything about.
That's often the case. That's life.
Right.
And it sucks.
Exactly.
But the weekends and stuff that there's not, they don't have a big name band, but why wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, Chris Prill and them, the Twin Creeks band, I think, is playing there.
Well, I'm saying, but why wouldn't your band and the local people have a chance to showcase?
Well, we played there several times. We had one of the biggest crowds. I played there with Carl Shiflett and my band one time.
He came to the brewery that weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think we're going to see, with a slight change in leadership from the council and the fact that the administrators have been put underneath a fairly unpleasant spotlight, I think we're going to see that change significantly over the next year. I think 23 is going to be a good year for the Harvester with local acts. I think they're going to actually face the music a little bit and do something about it.
Well, another thing is when it comes to the venue itself, the fact that the bottom room, the basement room, is basically as nice as the upper section. I mean,
you're talking about the lawnmower department.
Yeah, exactly.
Small engine department.
That was a Ford place at one time too, I think.
Before it was,
before it was
the feed and seed.
But
downstairs was all the small engine and lawnmowers, and upstairs was the feed and seed.
But this place is really nice. I mean, as far as I played in lots of places. And as far as whoever the design and the dude I was talking about may have been involved in that design. I think he probably was the guy that I kind of said was an ass.
Well,
not going to say his names with his initials, but no. But anyway, the situation. I mean, that you got a nice, really great green room for the bands.
Mm-hmm.
You got an elevator that takes you right to the stage. They got a nice piano on stage. I mean,
so the venue works. I mean, that's fantastic.
Exactly. In other words, it's
just mismanaged.
It's definitely a fact that this can work out. And I have went there and watched shows myself.
Well, and he touched on something that I agree with too. And I know a lot of people complain about the ticket prices. And that's one of the few things I don't have a gripe about with a Harvester. And let me make it clear. And I know a lot of people were paying $100, $150 for somebody like Dwight Yoakam. Listen, I grew up on Dwight Yoakam. I loved Dwight Yoakam. The reason I couldn't go to that show, I think, was right around the time my daughter was born. My wife really wanted to get me tickets. She had them for me or something like that. Look, I am willing to pay $100 or $150, and anybody else should be, to go see Dwight frickin' Yoakam play at the Harvester. Let me explain why. Because there is enough people in this county to fill up that place that would want to go see him, that don't have to travel to Greensboro or Charlotte to go see him. When you're talking about the money you got to spend on time, on fuel, on, parking, on the prices you're going to pay down there in a big city like that, and maybe even a hotel room or something of that nature. I would much rather pay $150 and stumble from my house down to the Harvester and stumble, well, maybe get a ride back, but it's close enough to where
Uber.
I can walk, and many of the people in this room can drive there and be home in 20 minutes.
But it's also a much more intimate show.
I was going to bring
Very
that
much
up.
so.
That's one I saw. The one show that I have went to there, except for the exception of I saw Larry Sigmund play there and a few others, but I went and saw Junior Brown, and it was like the best way to see Junior Brown you're going to ever see him. I mean, he's right there. I mean, the furthest you're going to be away from the stage is like 25 yards. I mean,
That's as intimate as you can possibly get.
How many people does it
400 maybe, 500?
400 to 500. It's something like 400 to
on the main
500.
floor?
Yeah. I don't think there's much difference. I mean, downstairs is plenty of room. I mean, I've heard people talk about playing downstairs, and I saw Larry Sigmund play downstairs, and actually I got it.
And those intimate venues, they are so much more enjoyable than the big stadiums. I've done big stadiums
Absolutely.
and the small venues.
But why not market it? In certain ways to local talent. If we're gonna pay $150 a ticket to go see Dwight Yoakam, if it was
let
marketed
somebody
right,
local-
people would pay $50 a ticket to go see Billy.
Yes.
And Billy ain't got the money. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Or have somebody like Billy and them come in and open for Dwight
headline for
Yoakam. Open. You know what I mean? If you're going to have Dwight Yoakam here, then
and,
have a whole
and
Grace band
pay
or
the
Billy
band well.
and them.
Pay the local bands well.
Think about the ties right now to Franklin County when it comes to music. You've got somebody like Billy and them. You've got Crawford and Power who are opening for big huge acts like Travis Tritt and stuff like that. And their music is, look, I love them two boys to death. They came up there and we had a great show. Me, him, and Ethan and
On a Tuesday night
had a great show. Like
till 2:00 in the morning.
and the music them boys play, like I would consider, kind of progressive pop country or whatever.
It's outlawish.
But they're legit. I know when they're coming from their songs because I know them on a personal level. I know what they're singing about is here locally. But you've got them. You've got Dan Tominski with ties to Franklin County. You've got what is it? All right. I'm just saying you got the ties. You got the ties. But and then what like the Lonesome River?
Lonesome River Band is fairly close. At one time, you had the Bluegrass
Bonnie Bowman.
Well, you had the Bluegrass Cardinals. They lived in Franklin County. David Parmley and Don Parmley. They were good friends of mine. And Lost and Found, one of the greatest bands that's ever been. Alan Mills and these guys.
Van Cleve and them and Mountain Heart recorded their first album there in Boone's Mill.
Yeah, at
Camden?
at Dubuchet.
Yeah, Dubuchet. Yeah.
And
That
but
was Beckner.
but-
Not Beckner.
Austin. Tim Austin. Yeah.
Tim Austin. Yeah.
One of the not really trying to go on a segue here, but one of the things that I think needs to happen in Rocky Mount, and it may be the Harvester might be the perfect place to have it. I would love to see like a Hall of Fame type situation with some of the more notable. I'm not basically anybody that anybody knows, but I think that some of the musicians from around here that have passed
Be
on,
recognized.
They should have be recognized. I mean, Rudy Lyle is from Franklin County, down next to where your aunt lives down there. Rudy Lyle played with Bill Monroe. He played with Patsy Cline. He's big. He was raised in Franklin County. There's not a damn
Gogginsville, baby.
There's not a damn sign or nothing nowhere that even says that he ever even lived.
That's a great point.
Yeah. If we're going to market ourselves as the beginning of the crooked road, then why don't we embrace that? And well, hey, if they're going to do it, why don't somebody like us do it?
Charlie LaPrade was from down at Henry, Virginia, down there. That's not Franklin County, but he basically is. He was from the little town there, right on the border.
Well, these are local musicians.
Charlie Poole died from his life was spent in Franklin County drinking.
And even like the whole foyer there in the Harvester. I mean, that could all be basically set up as
it would be nice if that was.
It would be. I mean, I feel like, yeah,
like Franklin County Music Hall of Fame. It wouldn't have to be. It doesn't need to be ritzy, but recognizing some of these people, especially Rudy Lyle and Gene Parker and Dempsey.
I think that would be a very good thing for the Harvester to adopt.
I think that some of the if there are the problems that the harvester may have, a lot of it needs to be addressed by people who have a knowledge of the subject. And what I'm saying is, like, I think if people would look at it from an actual true perspective, like what I'm talking about here, I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying that I think if people would think about it more the way I'm talking about, I think people need to get together on what needs to be done there.
Well, I mean, you could certainly. I think you have the credentials to act as a consultant on that basis, and you should be approached by whoever it is that is running the harvester.
Whoever it is.
Whoever that, I don't know who it is. Who knows?
Well, I mean, if we go back, if we go back to my comment earlier about hoping that some of our biggest critics would come on and tell their side of the story. Our favorite little piggy, the assistant town manager, at the last meeting, vocalized his role as being the controller member of much of the LLCs that involve with the harvester. Well, he's another one, but like
well, the harvester.
He can't seem
town,
like
right?
he doesn't come across.
Is it?
He doesn't come across somebody with a lot of charisma. So for him having something to do with the harvester, like the harvester should be supported and ran by very local people who can understand the amount of talent we have around here, and even it goes back to people we've had on this show, like the Jared Stout band. He's from those guys are from Roanoke and Blacksburg and stuff. But man, I mean, they play some good funky music. They have really they've been on the show. I enjoy what they do. Having them there at the Harvester, having Kyle and Josh Grice and the Harwell Grice band. I mean, look, I know it's a big leap to go approach Josh as he's selling he's trying to hand out his CDs on the corner of Hirschberger and Williamson there at the intersection.
Yeah, with all the other down and outs.
Hey, with a sign up saying, tortured artist, need money. He's basically a panhandler, but he's still doing his work. I mean, and take a chance and bring a panhandler like Josh Grice and the Harwell Grice band to the Harvester once every few months and see the crowd that shows up just to support him because he is who he is. I mean, we've got so many opportunities in this town.
Man, he could be here in less than 10 minutes.
But he won't be. He won't be. He had the opportunity to be up here.
We'll get him.
Oh, well, we will again. We will.
It may involve a roll of duct tape.
It might have to. And maybe going to fisticuffs with his wife.
Or, I mean, either a roll of duct tape or a roll of cellophane.
Well, speaking of cellophane.
Here we go.
That's as far as okay. That'll be an off-the-air conversation.
That will be a Patreon.
Maybe even a Patreon situation.
Absolutely.
But even with Patreon, I think the people listening.
Billy knew exactly what I meant.
I knew exactly what he was talking about. But, we've been up here today, and we've been on long enough. I know we've...
it's my wife's birthday today.
Yeah,
Heather, happy birthday.
We've been on, happy birthday, Heather. Thank you so much for dealing with us. So we're going to get off here in a second, but before we get off here, I think it would be just a few questions because we all can agree that a fiddle makes a band so much better.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm a huge Widespread Panic fan. A lot of the time, some of the times they'll bring somebody like Anne-Marie Calhoun on stage, and she makes some of their songs so much better. Like, there's songs they have that on their album version, the presence of the fiddle.
I love a mandolin
there.
Behind a fiddle.
It is there. But when you go to the concerts and see them live, the fiddle isn't there because they only randomly bring somebody like that on stage. So when you got somebody like Billy here, I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't talk a little bit, real quick before we got in here about, like maybe a couple of your influences or maybe your thoughts like on Charlie Daniels. That's the biggest question I wanted to ask because for me as a kid, Charlie Daniels got me excited about the fiddle. And, I mean, whatever you want to say about him, I mean, he's culturally relevant. And
well, Charlie Daniels is beyond culturally relevant. Most people really don't know that Charlie Daniels did some amazing things that you don't think about very often. One of them is he did an album with Bob Dylan. Let's see, it's Nashville Skyline. and it's got Earl Scruggs and Charlie Daniels was involved in producing that album. I think is the way it works. You have to look into this. I'm anything I'm saying that I'm talking out my rear end here. I'm not trying to, but I'm pretty sure all that's is absolutely correct. Charlie Daniels, of course, is from North Carolina. Most people think he's from Texas for some reason. I've actually met Charlie, been on the bus with him. He's a really nice guy, and he's a hell of a big dude, man. He was like 6 foot something. You know, he's a big, tall dude. And Charlie Daniels told someone on television one time on an interview, he said, he looked intently into the camera, and he said, "Kids, if you want to learn how to play the fiddle, don't listen to me." That's what Charlie said. And what I never did disrespect Charlie Daniels, but that made me really respect him 500 times more, because you know Charlie Daniels is basically a guitar player.
Yeah,
but they had I love their band, especially the older songs, you know, like Uneasy Rider,
yes,
and all that stuff. Charlie Daniels was a whole lot more influential in music than most people realize, because he was in the background at one point, you know. But he is a iconic fiddle player, and probably not one of the better fiddle players. You know, I'm not putting Charlie Daniels down or anything like that. But I mean,
it's crazy how that works, though. Like,
well, I mean, he was a little pitchy on his playing, but the thing of it is he's on so many iconic recordings. Like he recorded the fiddle with Marshall Tucker Band, you know, and I absolutely love the Charlie Daniels Band. I mean, they're a great band, and thank God that they existed. You know, it has probably influenced many people and inspired many people for decades, and you know, in the most positive way. You know, I mean, I hate the song "Devil Went Down to Georgia." Even Charlie Daniels credited this song to, it's a fiddle. It was actually based on a fiddle tune that Vassar Clements wrote called "Lonesome Fiddle Blues," because the melody that's "Lonesome Fiddle Blues" is the name of that song.
Wow!
And they used that song as the fiddle part of the
Johnny.
Well, they use this. Well, no, he plays. Johnny doesn't actually. It's just the fiddle section of the song. The Devil and Johnny play different things other than this song, but it's still, you know, Charlie did. I absolutely gave credit to that song, and in other words, it was obvious that he used that song, but most people would never know that.
Did you bring your fiddle?
Lord, no.
I told him to, Amos.
It's too early in the day. The sun is too high in the sky to play the fiddle right now.
I was like,
good effort, though.
I was wanting a tune.
Well, I think this is probably a good time to stop the show, because I can probably say with confidence we got to get Billy back on the show at some point. I mean,
I would absolutely love it. I've enjoyed this quite well.
Well, and once again it goes, and I was kind of nervous about it headed into it, because I'm thinking, man, you got somebody that everybody you've talked to, you know, has all agreed that is one of the best musicians on the planet, and you want to come in here and you want to talk about music, but at the same time it's like, let's just let the conversation go where it goes. And I think we did that once again here today.
Yeah.
We don't do interviews on here. We don't interview. We catch flack sometimes. Well, you didn't ask them enough questions. Hey, look, if we're talking and you don't chip in and discuss it with us, that's on you. You know what I mean? Like, we're the type.
We're gracious enough to step back from the mic every now and again, aren't
exactly.
we, Billy?
I think that spontaneity breeds honesty myself.
Absolutely. They're well said. Very well said.
Amos?
Man, he's thinking. Can you see? I can hear it bloody churning from over here.
Well, I mean, I just think about how that everybody, you know, all of us sitting right here has, you know, how we know each other, how we've come to be good friends. And really, I mean, none of us really have anything in common.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, hold on. But we have everything in common.
Touche.
Yeah.
You know, we should never be sitting in this circle together and considering each other friends. In the viewpoint of most people. I mean, I'm a little German Baptist kid. You celebrate second place on 4th of July.
Every year. For the last 15.
But it's just, you got
We
to
settled that a long time ago.
you got to be interested in wanting, my daddy used to say all the time, if you're going to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. And, if you don't reach out to people, talk to people, you're doing yourself a super big disservice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, isolationism has never been successful, has it? Not really.
Well,
It's not even isolationism. It's just taking advantage of your situation when you do go out and you do go out in public. Like, find a person there that's got the most interesting stories, and you'll be able to find it. You can do that kind of stuff on your own. Find the people that you're going to learn from. Don't just go talk up to somebody and start talking about whatever the most relevant pop culture.
I mean, and even if you disagree with somebody, that has no bearing on whether you should not like or dislike or be friends with the person. I got plenty of people that I'm good friends with that there's subjects obviously we're not going to agree on, but it don't matter. I mean, what,
all the time.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, me and Billy, we went round and round and round.
What'd you say last night, though?
I'm your biggest critic.
But once you go back and start researching some of the stuff I said, there might be a little something to it. You gave me credit last night.
Just
Damn.
a little bit.
Was it on a live mic? Did you get it recorded? Were there witnesses? It didn't happen.
No
then.
coherent witnesses.
Didn't happen then.
But, I just feel like that everybody would be way happier to engage with people around you.
Well, again,
It does us all good.
I'll go back to the Constitution. I'll go back to the Constitution yet again. It is about the pursuit of happiness, is it not? And I don't think we're pursuing it.
Oh, we're pursuing it.
I don't think we're pursuing it happily enough.
By God, I am.
Oh, me too.
I mean, this is a generalism. I know the four people around this table are as happy as clams.
I meant to say that in that manner.
I mean, it just, I love people. I love life.
You better.
I'm living.
Because when you're dead, you ain't going to have it no more.
Either you're living one day at a time or you're dying one day at a time. I'm living one day at a time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to make the best of it. Or I'm going to attempt to.
I'm living one day at a time.
It ain't
my body is dying.
My twin brother came out with a very classic statement. It is a bit of a cliche, but he said it with passion. He goes, "It ain't no damn dress rehearsal."
I can imagine there being two Simons out there. You know what I mean? There's another Simon
They look
out
just
there.
alike.
There's another Simon out there.
I'm afraid there is.
I must ask, what is your twin brother's name?
John. He lives in New Zealand.
Which one of you came out first?
I did. 9 minutes. And I remind him of it daily. But the funny thing is, New Zealand is 16 hours ahead of us. Now, it's my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
He's already had it. Think about that.
It's your wife's birthday.
If we're on the same continent and timeline, I'm 9 minutes older.
But he's already have his birthday and you're...
Yeah, but he's like 7 minutes ahead of you right now.
No, I was born in the UK, Greenwich Mean Time, 9 minutes before my identical twin brother, John.
But he lives in New Zealand.
Because he lives in New Zealand and it's 16 hours ahead, he's actually older than me right now.
Oh, I said 16 minutes. I'm sorry. I said 7 minutes.
I hope your brother has found some New Zealand hillbilly somewhere and is recording a podcast. All the same.
He's a musician.
What is the likelihood we can get him to come?
Do we need
jump on
do
this
we
show
need to
at
make
some
up some
point in
money
time?
for him?
Yes.
Us being on the same hemisphere normally is trouble. In the same country, let me tell you. When
was the last time he was here?
He's never been to the States, but
Can we make this happen? Can we, if we have to, let's get up not GoFundMe because they're a bunch of Marxist pricks, but there's like another one, Give Send Go or something like that. There's other. Let's do a Give Send Go.
Henry probably got back over there and told him, "Look, dude."
Well, no, these in New Zealand. That's not England. We have to make it. We have to get Simon's brother here. And we have to get them both
Simon
on the
number
show.
2.
Yes.
Thing 1 and thing 2.
We have to.
Brother
This
thing
has to happen now. Let's make this happen, people. Subscribe
Your
to the
little
page,
brother.
donate. Let's get Simon's twin brother over here, and let's rip a hole in the space-time continuum or whatever it is that we're gonna do by having them both in the same room at the same time on the show.
That would be scary because then I would actually be the oldest again.
I'm,
I'd
I'm,
reclaim my oldest status.
I'm fine with that. We got to make that happen, right, Amos?
We'll attempt.
It'll be a disaster.
All right,
It'll
so
be awesome.
yeah, we're good out here on that one because we've been going for 2.5 hours now. What a phenomenal show we had. I'm glad we got to talk about the fiddle a little bit.
I'm feeling way better than when we started.
I noticed.
How did that happen?
Me too.
Oh, I've loved every minute of it. I'm glad that Billy came up here. Glad y'all called me, wanted me to come up here.
I'm glad Josh Grice declined. Thank you so much for
God, what a boob.
Listen,
bringing your trash.
you gotta quit trashing Grice. Callie's gonna.
There's going to be consequences.
Yeah. I'm gonna go tell Callie that you was trashing Josh Grice.
Let her get old enough to understand who he is, and she'll trash him too. I promise.
But
I promise.
Look, he's in second place behind Billy. But I had to explain to her that 5 Mile Mountain Road is not in Josh's
it's not in his
inventory.
inventory. Yeah.
His
After
repertoire.
we turn this thing off, I'll tell you a funny one.
Why do we got to turn it off? Please.
I
just...
think this.
Listen to the turn off.
All right.
This will be for the next show. How's that?
We can do something like that. So we're gonna get off of here. Please, everybody, go to patreon.com/getontap. You can get this show early and every other show we do. The second we record it, because we don't release them till Tuesday, you can get the subscriber show. I think maybe me and Simon have been talking. We're going to start, maybe doing with each guest, maybe like cutting it off in a couple of hours, and then after that, maybe doing a 30 or 45 minute subscriber only show with the same guest. We get a little bit more raw with it. Either way, every bit of support you send our way is appreciated. Thank you for all the Simon buddies that have chipped in here soon. I want to go down through the list and read them off, but every time we get going, we run way out of time to be able to do something like that. I think we might have Amos we're going to have him on the show here.
Oh, well, you know
coming
it.
up in the future. I think we should bring Billy on a little bit more in the future, too.
Absolutely.
Just for random shows we sit around with people at, because all those different kind of perspectives. Chris Montgomery, like all these kind of people we can bring in for other shows. We've got some phenomenal ones coming up in the future. We'll talk about them here. Talk about them on the Patreon page. We got some film documentary makers, some coffee makers, old former Green Berets. We got one coming at the end of the month, a good Iraq episode coming up again. So we appreciate all your support. Check us out, Facebook.
Make some comments.
Yeah,
I dare
let
you.
us know.
Interact with us.
Yeah, we want to hear.
I mean, I'm on a
Facebook.
Facebook ban at the moment.
Comments on Facebook, they put me in jail.
Well, that's where I am right now. So I'm incommunicado. The bloody Facebook Nazis have got me. But make comments, guys. We want to interact.
We want to hear from
It's good
you.
feedback.
We appreciate everybody that started to tune in here late. Everybody out there that's listening to us in the office, all you and your coworkers, man, thank you so much. This past week's been very humbling to kind of hear, from the community a lot of bit about, who does listen and how they're doing all the support. It's awesome. Because I just want a better place for my kids. That's it. I had my fun. I had my times. You've heard some of the stories between me and Amos, Monster Trucking Vehicles. And, it's been on the show already, Amos. Don't worry about it. All the things we've done. I want my kids to be able to grow up and have that kind of fun and that kind of adventure and be able to find their own paths as well. So I do this whole stuff for us. I do it for so thank everybody that is a part of us. Thank you, Simon, for the cabin and, being a tremendously good British co-host that for some reason chooses fish and chips over burgers and fries. We'll get to that at a later date. Amos.
I had fish and chips last night, by the way, and it was absolutely
and then Billy,
glorious.
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. I had a great time.
We got to do it again.
Of course,
Definitely.
we will.
So, for everybody else there, big thanks to Corey Hunley for the music that brought us into this show. Big thank. I don't know what song I'm going to have to end this. Might jump into Levi Larry. He's got a good fiddle tune. I might play for the end of this with him, or we might do the Hopewell Grace Band. Either way, for all those guys for letting us use their music on these shows, thank you. Apologize for y'all having to, pick up the slack for Josh Grice. He is a musically wise, you guys are all phenomenal, and he's kind of trashy. But for some reason, he has the social ability to go over there and work over a crowd. So somehow it works for y'all. And thank y'all so much for your music, gentlemen. We'll catch you next time.